Hi, I'm Carlin Borisenko. In early 2020, I was the knitting Democrat who accidentally went viral on the internet for going to a Trump rally and then left the party. I became the conservative darling, was on all the shows, traveled around the country, and then realized that conservatives were no better than Democrats. If there's one thing that I've learned, it's that both political tribes are two sides of the same coin. But it wasn't all bad. On my journey, I became obsessed with understanding the woke ideology and the culture war. I broke the story of the city of Seattle doing segregated training with its employees.
How bad has this stuff become? The city of Seattle has now put out, I'm not kidding you, this is according to Dr. Carolyn Borisenko, who's an organizational psychologist. The city of Seattle asked its white employees to voluntarily spend a day off in a training about their internalized racial superiority.
I broke the story that led to the first ever federal lawsuit against critical race theory in the schools. I broke the Coke Be Less White story, one of the biggest anti-woke stories of all time. It got over 30 million views. Coca-Cola's corporate headquarters even had to change their outgoing voicemail.
Throughout the past few days, you may have seen inaccurate reporting on the content of our recently launched diversity, equity, and inclusion training program.
I exposed the schools in Burlington, Vermont for grooming middle school children live on the internet. They called me an unwoke cult leader for that. And the Vermont Human Rights Commission slandered me publicly as being a hate channel. I even got called a hero in Breitbart for exposing that the Washington Post was writing a hit piece on Christopher Rufo. I have broken story after story after story about what's going on in the public schools, from Cambridge, Massachusetts, to autistic sex education, to the Department of Education in Michigan, literally training teachers all over the state how to groom children. I wrote a book called Actively Unwoke, the ultimate guide for fighting back against the woke insanity in your life. I host a podcast all about fighting back, and I'm downloading all of my knowledge to you on my Substack, carlin.substack.com. The world is a crazy place. We are literally surrounded by cults on all sides. On this show, we're going to do a deep dive into all aspects of the culture war, and I will show you the dark, dystopian underbellies on both sides. Here are the commitments I'll make to you. I will always tell you the truth. I will always bring you receipts. And if you stick with me, I promise you will see the world differently. Welcome to the cult. Please mount that like button for me and subscribe if you feel so inclined. Well, hey everyone. I'm feeling a little incognito today. I think I'm going to start doing streams where I just wear as many layers of clothing and sunglasses, even though it now gets dark where I'm at 4:30 in the afternoon. So there's really no need for me to wear sunglasses. But like I really do have like a condition with my eyes where I actually do wear sunglasses indoors quite a bit. And I'm not just doing it to be like a jackass. Like I have a condition in my eyes where like I'm more sensitive to light than like normal people. So the fact that I always have to have lights on when I'm streaming is a giant pain in the ass. Yeah. We're doing the Unabomber look today. We're doing the Unabomber look. We are. Welcome to Happy Hour. Happy Hour is a stream that I do on Fridays at 5 p.m. where, I started Happy Hour at the beginning of 2021. Happy Hour was supposed to start it was supposed to be a once a week thing. Because back in 2021, I deemed it that we were going to talk about the news and current events all week. Because if we watched woke training every single day, which is what we do for Happy Hour, we might all go insane. Well, watching it one day a week turned into watching it 2 days a week and then 3 days a week. And now the only difference between Happy Hour and my normal streams is that I drink beer and you guys get to vote on it. So Happy Hour is a stream where we do what I do literally every single day now on this channel, which is we watch a woke training from start to finish, and we do it to learn what the left is doing, and we comment on it, we analyze it, we pick it apart. And to make it different from all the other streams that I do, I drink beer that you guys get to vote on. So what are we going to be watching for today? Well, I got to tell you guys, so if I've been doing this is now season 4 of Happy Hour because I feel like it, John, all right? I feel like it. I'm feeling incognito today, okay? You don't need a reason to wear sunglasses. So we're now in like season 4 of Happy Hour, right? And what that means is I have like 3 full years of episodes. So there's going to be roundabout because I've done Happy Hour almost every single week for 3 years. There's going to be about 150 episodes, right? Give or take. I was looking for something to watch for Happy Hour today, and I came across this stream. And we have a lot of options of things we could watch. So if this turns out not to be a good idea, like we can change it. I came across this stream, Queer Liberation in the Classroom, and this is from New York City Arts and Education, and this is from 2022, so a couple years ago. I came across this stream and I was like, oh my God, this is perfect. We have to watch this for Happy Hour. It has everything. And then I went downstairs and I explained to my husband what queer liberation in the classroom means. Does anyone want to take a guess of what queer liberation in the classroom means? Do you want to deconstruct it using your knowledge of how to speak socialist? Let me know in the chat. So I was all geared up for this presentation, and then I was like, have we watched that before? And I really had a crisis where I was like, I really think we've watched this before. I think we definitely watched something from New York City Arts and Education at one point, and I could not remember. This is how many episodes of Happy Hour I've done and how much woke training I've watched. I could not remember whether or not we've actually watched this one before. And I searched through all my archives and I was like, I'm pretty sure we haven't watched this before, but there's like maybe a 15% chance that I'm wrong and we've watched this before and I've just smoked so much weed in the past year and a half that I don't remember it. Because like they all blend together for me now. It's like they're all the same. When you're watching a cult, everyone in the cult speaks the same language, and I was like, "Oh shit, am I gonna act?" Have we reached the point with Happy Hour where I have gone through so many of these trainings that I'm accidentally, without even realizing it, going to pick out something that we've already watched and not realize it until someone in the chat goes, "Carlin, we watched this like 8 months ago." Queer liberation in the classroom. It means to liberate from the gender binary, liberating oneself from capitalism by not being conformed to the gender binary. Liberate from the gender binary equals liberate from capitalism. Liberation from capitalism through queer theory and by attacking normalcy. Okay, good. Reagan says this doesn't look familiar. Reagan is the person that keeps me honest. Liberate children from the evils of capitalism and how to destabilize it. Liberate it from the gender binary. Reagan. Reagan has a spreadsheet with the happy hour. Reagan needs some sort of official title in the community. I feel like Reagan has always been there and has just been so like consistent. And like Reagan needs so Bot is the chief investigative officer in the community. Reagan is going to be like the chief record keeping officer, but we need to come up with like a better name for that. Let's come up with like a really good title for Reagan. Yeah, Reagan gets the gold. This is perfect. Chief organizational officer. Exactly. Reagan is the chief organizational officer. Excellent. So guys, and Rottweiler is the town drunkard. Yep. Reagan is the COO of the cult. The chief anti-woke archivist, unwoke archivist. Like unwoke, please. Unwoke. There was actually a debate in my mind when I wrote my book. Do I call it anti-woke or unwoke? And I settled on unwoke, and that's where we're going. Everything in the unwoke empire is branded as unwoke now. And no matter what Ted Cruz says, I was the one that came up with it first. Ted Cruz can eat a dick. Anyway, so this is what we're going to be watching today. Nick says we watched a video from New York Arts where they had those No. That was NYU. That was not this. That was NYU. That was New York University. Brooklyn can be the chief marketing officer. I think we can come up with a better title than that. I mean, we can come up with something that's okay. We'll work on community titles later, guys. We'll work on community titles later. Yes, exactly. Ted Cruz and his neocon cronies can tie their dick to a ceiling fan. Exactly. I'm taking a picture of this right now. Yep. Yep. Oh God, this is why I love my community. Right there. All right. So this is what we're going to be watching today, guys. Let's see if there is a description. I don't remember if there is. Want to learn how to make your classrooms safer spaces for LGBTQ plus students? Join National Queer Theater. Oh, good. There's a National Queer Theater. Adam, he, him, and Z Spaces Nikki, they, she, Sia, I don't know what that is, for a participatory workshop on radical means socialist, radical inclusivity, queer liberation, and creative expression for teaching artists and art education administrators. This workshop will cover emerging terminology and approaches to help ensure your classrooms are fun, safe, and welcoming for students. And you can see this is on the official YouTube page for New York City Arts and Education Roundtable. It only has 66 views, and you guys know these are my favorite types of presentations to watch when no one else has watched them on the internet except for us. We were already giving this presentation more views than it's had in 2 years. Yeah, YouTube's being funny lately with the chat. YouTube and Google are screwing me and won't let me comment even though it showed me a subscribed. I don't know what to do about that. But thank you for letting me know. All right. So that's what we're watching today, guys. I hope you're ready for it. Now, before we get into it, a couple orders of business. Now, if you missed our spy stream yesterday, I just want to say that I don't ever want to be asked again if leftists understand if whiteness means capitalism. Because yesterday during Spy Stream, something beautiful happened. We did a Spy Stream where we went inside a live woke training that was about white supremacy culture. The training was specific for people who identified as white, so you couldn't go if you didn't identify as white. So we followed the rules. I, of course, do identify as a pasty white girl because I'm French and Irish, and that's just the way it goes. And so we went inside this training, and it was all about white supremacy culture and disrupting your whiteness and all of that bullshit. And in the training, I asked them explicitly, can you explain to me how capitalism contributes to inequities? Because inequities are what they care about when you're disrupting your own white supremacy, right? And so if you missed the video that I posted on the Substack, I posted on my YouTube channel, I posted on my Twitter, when I asked a private workshop of leftists, can you give me some examples of how capitalism causes all these problems? Not only did the facilitators answer me, but half of the participants in the GD workshop also answered me and said, here are all the reasons that capitalism is bad and all the reasons that capitalism contributes to disparities. And then the facilitators explicitly, and I mean explicitly, said that whiteness created slavery and slavery created systemic racism and blah, 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 blah. Like the exact definition that I've been saying for years about why whiteness means capitalism, the trainers said it explicitly. And then they followed it up with a quote about how capitalism created all the world's problems. So I just want to say, for the 8,000 times that I have been asked in the past 6 months, Carlin, are you sure that leftists understand that whiteness means capitalism? Are you sure they don't think it's about skin color? Because I don't think they really understand it. For the 8,000 times that I've been asked that question in the last month, we can now put that issue to bed. Does the left understand that when they are talking about whiteness, they mean capitalism? Yes, they do. And it's not abstract. It's not. They are naming it specifically, yeah, every time I'm asked this, are you sure they know? Yes, yes, I am sure they know. Because I can ask them an open ended question that isn't leading them at all, and they all come in and answer it in the way that I've been telling you guys they define it for like, it seems like 36 years now I've been saying this. So I don't ever want to hear that question again. All right. If you have not watched the clip, it is available on my Substack, which is Carlin, KARLYN.substack.com. And please, every time someone asks this, can we all just make it a habit that we post that goddamn clip? Please. I even put music to this clip. I tried to make it really good so it would be a timeless classic. Like, I'm so sick of answering this question. I cannot even express how sick of it I am. So yes, we know that whiteness means capitalism according to leftists, and we know that they understand it too. And any conservative that still wants to dig in their heels and claim that this is all about race because they're little fucking racists that hate brown people, not all conservatives, but some of them do. They really do. They can eat a dick too. They can eat a dick too right alongside Ted Cruz, all right? If you have not yet seen the whole spy stream, it is available on the Substack. In this post right here, you can find the on-demand replay. And honestly, this is one of the best spy streams of all time. I really recommend people watch it. The way you get access to it is by becoming a supporter on my Substack, which is $8 a month or $80 a year. As a supporter, you fund the work I'm doing. I am completely grassroots funded by you. You basically pay for my time and my energy doing investigative journalism, writing articles, doing these videos, walking through this stuff with you guys, breaking down the woke ideology in plain English, showing you guys stuff that no one else on the internet is showing you, breaking it down in a way that no one else on the internet is doing, not even James Lindsay, because James Lindsay doesn't do this stuff in plain English, and I'm sick of hearing about him too. I'm about ready to record a whole new episode of my Inner Circle podcast where I just complain about the fact that every single day of my life I have to explain to people how different I am from James Lindsay and what James Lindsay's doing. And especially now that he's blocked me on Twitter because he's so fucking threatened by how far ahead of him I am on this stuff. Like, I'm just sick of it. I'm sick of it. It's 2024. I'm embracing the anti-hero. I'm embracing that I got way farther ahead of everyone else on the internet talking about this stuff. I'm embracing that I know more than all the fucking conservative influencers. I'm just owning it. I'm tired of this bullshit. I have over the last 3 years done more of this bullshit than anyone else on the internet. I by the way publish more content than James Lindsay. I didn't actually know that because I haven't actually paid attention to James Lindsay's content for like 3 years. Everything I know comes from other people, but I looked into it the other day and I looked at new discourses and I looked at all this stuff. I was like, holy shit, I am publishing by myself with no help from anyone dramatically more content than James Lindsay is. I really didn't know that, but now I do. Now I do. Anyway, my work is superior in every goddamn possible way, and I'm tired of pretending that it's not, all right? So if you want to support the work I'm doing and keep me in business, head over to the Substack, sign up for a membership for $8 a month, $80 a year. You get lots of perks to include all the premium content on my Substack, to include 2 Zoom calls with me every single week on Monday and Friday. We are doing Bitchcraft tomorrow at 3 p.m. So if you want to come and do some knitting or crocheting or quilting or sewing or drawing or painting or just hang out, you can get access to a private Zoom call. It's going to happen tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern time for a couple hours right before Socialism Saturday, and that's something we do once a month. We're doing movie night on Sunday. We're watching some weird B movie that Jennifer's picked out. I don't even know the name of it, but I'm sure it's great. Jennifer does a pretty good job with movie night. She gets to pick out all the movies herself in January. She's serving up a good B movie series for us to watch. I'm sure it's going to be awesome. We do movie nights on Sundays at 8 p.m. in the Discord. There's writers group on Thursday nights. There's all sorts of stuff going on and extra perks you get when you sign up as a supporter of my work. Another way you can support the work I'm doing is by heading over to my merch store. And you know the best part about when you guys purchase stuff from my merch store? You really piss off all those assholes on the internet who are like opposed to AI art, because they're like, AI art is not real art and we are the real artists and you are stealing from us. And it's like, bro, if you're a real artist, just go create art. People will still buy art. I spend more money than I should on original art. Like, AI art has nothing to do with that because I still want really nice fancy paintings that are going to appreciate in value. So if you think you're a better artist than AI, then just go create art. Don't fucking complain about everyone using AI, because I do use AI for the concepts in my merch store, and I think it's awesome. I love AI art. I think AI art makes art more accessible. I think it allows average people to be creative and really stretch themselves creatively. I think it's fun. I think you come up with all sorts of interesting ideas that you never would have thought of on your own. I think it's great. And all of those people that are bitching and complaining about AI art every single day, they're like the same people that complained when the camera came out. And they were like, photography is not art. You have to learn how to paint. And then all of a sudden, everyone had a camera in their phone. They're like, that doesn't count as photography. You have to have a $3,000 camera in order to do the real photography. And of course, that's not true anymore either. And it's the same with this. So if you really want to piss off some people, head over to the Unwoke Art merch store and you can purchase art that I do make or designs that I make with AI. Not all of them. I actually didn't make this Mickey design, or excuse me, Steamboat Willie design with AI. I just made it. So we got the Steamboat Willie whiteness means capitalism shirt. Get that all sorts of stuff. We've got the Plague Doctor be an anti-hero design. We've got the other Plague Doctor design for the Unwoke wiki that's going to be getting an update later on tonight. We've got, what other things do we have? Check this out. I haven't even officially launched this yet. This is a new like artisan series I'm doing, where if you can't see it, what's raining down around her are hammers and sickles. So she is literally surrounded by communism and protecting herself from communism, because no one's coming to save us, guys. You all have to protect yourselves. And then on the back of that t-shirt, it says the socialist revolution is happening all around you, in a nice little whimsical design that says something that you might not expect. We've got the dystopian series, where I did a series of movie posters based on dystopian tales, like the one from They Live, with like Fahrenheit 451. That looks really effing cool. Lots of cool stuff. This is probably my favorite one. I love this design. It just looks so cool. I combine like lino cut in that. I love doing lino cut designs. Anyway, lots of cool stuff in the Unwoke art store. And of course, my favorite design of all time, the Real Marxism design, because real Marxism has been tried. I don't have any anti-Semitic t-shirts. I don't know what you're talking about. I obviously would never do anti-Semitic t-shirts, but I do have a megalomaniac t-shirt. I do have a megalomaniac t-shirt of a giant creature taking over the world that definitely is not an octopus. It represents cancel culture, because of course it's pretty fucking megalomaniacal to want to control an entire planet. And so if you look up megalomaniac in the Unwoke art store, you can come up with that design if you want to. And I got to tell you guys, the printing on this design looks so fucking good. It looks so good. That is still available in the store as well. You can always just go to the t-shirt section if you want to see all the stuff I have available. Lots and lots. Of course, it was funny. James Lindsay the other day posted on Twitter. James Lindsay posted, "Marxists always lie." And I was like, oh, really, James? I feel like someone put that on a t-shirt a while ago. Yeah, that's in the store right now, Nick. Go ahead and get it. But it's not anti-Semitic. It has nothing to do with the Jews at all. Nothing, 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 nothing. Anyway, that's how you can support my work if you really want to. Now let's get into the important stuff, which is, of course, the beer. It is, of course, the beer. Hang on. My mother got me this like wine cooler for Christmas that I'm now using to carry all my beer, which is pretty great, actually. So for happy hour, oh, bro, My shirts are better than Crowder's shirts. My shirts are like, is there like, and this is an honest question. I really think I have some of the coolest merch of like any creator on the internet. I feel like I'm not patting myself on the back. I really feel like my merch is just better. Can you guys name a creator that has better merch than me? Honestly asking. Honestly. Tayton, I'm sorry I missed your super chat. He says, thank you for teaching me the language and what to look for, Carlin. I'm happy that I don't have to lie or say something I don't understand. You're very welcome, Tayton. I do appreciate it. All right, guys. The benefit of happy hour is, of course, I drink beer. And you guys get to vote on which beer I drink first. So let me tell you about the beer that I just got back from the store to get today. Hang on. Now, there must be a theme with beer because I'm seeing a cherry theme. I have 2 beers with cherry in it today, which means that cherry is going to be a thing for spring, which I don't mind so much because like I actually really like cherry in beer. Sam Adams cherry wheat is actually one of my favorite like mass produced beers. And so I recommend if people haven't had it, like definitely try it if you get a chance. But I've got 2 cherry beers today. The first one is from Drecker Brewing Company. Where is Drecker? Where is Drecker? I don't know, and I can't see because I'm wearing sunglasses. Hang on. Let me take off my sunglasses to do my beer, and then I'll put them back on. Now all of a sudden it's very bright. I don't know where Drecker Brewing Company is, but Drecker does some great kind of like dessert style beers, like smoothie style beers. This one is called Cherry Lemon Scone, Slang du Jour, Cherry a la Mode, and it has tart cherry, Sicilian lemon, white chocolate, granola, and brown sugar. That's going to be our first option. That is the cherry lemon scone. The second option is the other cherry beer, which is from Magnify Brewing Company. Magnify is one of my favorite brewing companies. They do a great job. Magnify is the one that did the blue milk beer. There are a couple ones that have done blue milk, but Magnify is the one that did the blue milk beer that I had on stream a while ago. They are out of New Jersey, of all places. And it's called Don't Stop Now. And this is with cherry, guava, mango, vanilla, and lactose. So the first one is cherry lemon, and this one is cherry and vanilla. So that's the difference between the two. And then I have got some darker beers. This is kind of a classic. I just haven't had it in a while because I feel like every time I buy this beer, my husband ends up drinking it before me. So I've got it for myself now. He's not allowed to have it. I actually want to drink this one myself. This is from some brewing company. They do some really great beers. Where are they out of? Maine. And this is going to be peanut butter jelly pie. This is a stout. That's a peanut butter jelly whoopie pie beer. We made whoopie pie stout. Then we made peanut butter whoopie pie stout. And after that, it was raspberry whoopie pie stout. Seems like a natural progression to make peanut butter jelly whoopie pie beer. And then the last one for today was a special because they're not going to have them for much longer. And that is a Candy Cane Nitro. This is from Left Hand Brewing Company. Left Hand is pretty reliable. This is an Imperial. So this is going to have a lot of alcohol in it. In fact, it has 9.5% alcohol to be exact. Left Hand Brewing is out of where? I think they're mass market at this point, so I don't even think it matters. Rocky Mountains. Colorado. Do you guys know? I told this to my supporter community the other day. Okay. This is hang on. Well, I'll tell that story in a second. Let's do the vote first. I will tell the story about Colorado while you guys are voting. So this is a Candy Cane Nitro Imperial Peppermint Milk Stout. And that's going to be our last selection. So these are the votes. Hang on. My desk is so crowded. And I'm sorry for people watching on places that are not YouTube, but the poll is only for YouTube. Again, cherry lemon scone, option number 1 from Drecker. Then we have cherry vanilla guava from Magnify. Then we have peanut butter jelly whoopie pie stout. And then we have Candy Cane Nitro Stout. Let me know which one you want me to drink in the chat. And while you're doing that, I will get our sound set up. And I'm going to tell you a story about Colorado. So you guys know, I've talked about this every once in a while. I don't have I don't have a great relationship with my younger brother. Now, the reason that I don't have a great relationship with my younger brother is because my younger brother's wife, who I refuse to call my sister-in-law because I refuse, my younger brother's wife is an evil, 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 evil bitch. And she is the reason that I do not have a relationship with my younger brother, because I will not kowtow to that evil bitch. And because I will not bend the knee to that evil bitch, she demands that my brother does not speak to me. Isn't that nice and cordial? Anyway, the reason I bring this up is I was researching schools out in Colorado, because Colorado is basically communist and there's so much communist stuff going on in schools. And I randomly discovered, not even knowing, that my younger brother and his bitch wife had moved to Colorado, because they never told me. They lived in like New Jersey the last time I knew. I randomly discovered that my younger brother's wife is now a guidance counselor at a school in Colorado. And I was like, yo, let me tell you, if I have the opportunity to go into that school's stuff and find woke bullshit to cause trouble on the internet, this is like the greatest revenge that I can possibly think of for the fact that that evil bitch has destroyed my relationship with my younger brother. So, if anyone knows anything about the Dawson School in Colorado, let me know. Let me know. It's a private school. We can't FOIA them or anything. But just in case anyone in Colorado knows or hears anything about the Dawson School in Colorado, I want verifiable receipts. I'm not just going to cause trouble to cause trouble. But if there's any woke bullshit going on at that school where I can create a headache for my younger brother's bitch wife, I will do it. I'm not above it. And I don't care what people think about that. All right, let me put my sunglasses back on. You can DM me on Twitter. You can get a hold of me on Discord. You can email me. All right, you guys want me to drink the high alcohol content beer? Of course you do. The Candy Cane one. Hang on, let me get the rest of my beer back in my cooler. I need a better cooler than this. This cooler system is not working for my beer. Hang on. It's not zipping up. There it goes. Got it. All right, we're having I thought the beer was going to explode all over my desk. We're having this Candy Cane Nitro, and of course, I have it in a snifter. Let me stop the poll. Cherry vanilla was second. I was kind of hoping for that cherry lemon scone, if I'm honest about it. Let's see. It's going to be a beautiful nitro beer. Drinking it in a snifter because that's the fancy way that you drink fancy beer. Perfect. Look at that. Nitro beers are so pretty when they're settling. Cheers, everyone. Happy hour. If you're drinking anything fun, let me know. Cheers, everyone. I'm going to let that settle before I drink it because it's a nitro, and that means it's going to be all frothy and stuff. All right. Now that I've inappropriately complained about my younger brother's wife on the internet, and I've got my beer, let's get this party started. All right. We are watching Queer Liberation in the Classroom from New York City Arts in Education Roundtable. And I don't know. I don't have anything else to say. Let's go.
So much for joining us today. We are so excited to see you. This session is Queer Liberation in the Classroom as part of Face to Face 2022. Face to Face is made possible by the New York State Council on the Arts with the support of the Office of the Governor and the New York State Legislature.
Oh, good. The
and
Office
by
of the
public
Governor.
funds
Okay,
from the New York
good.
City Department of Cultural Affairs. And this session is also specifically brought to you by our very generous conference sponsor, Disney.
Disney!
My name is Kinsey.
So this presentation is sponsored by both the New York Governor and Disney. Excellent.
Keck. I use she, her pronouns. I am a white woman with brown chin-length hair. It's pulled up in a half ponytail today, and I have long bangs that come down to touch my round wireframe glasses that I'm wearing.
Wow.
I'm also wearing a very cozy white sweatshirt, and I'm sitting in my kitchen, and you can see some art prints just behind me on the white wall behind me. I'm also the programming and membership manager for the New York City Arts and Education Roundtable. Although we are currently meeting via Zoom, the Roundtable would like to acknowledge that we do work and live on unceded lands.
Land blessing!
Manhattan, or the place that is widely known as New York City, exists on the contemporary and ancestral homelands of the Canarsie, Lenape.
She doesn't know how to pronounce them. That's why she's going slow.
And Wappinger people. These sovereign nations and communities are still thriving here, and we continue to occupy their lands. We would like to give a moment of respect to them, as well as to the Black and immigrant communities, which have helped build the city that we know today. As we recognize that all of our pasts, presents, and futures are intertwined, we would like to uplift a few contemporary Indigenous arts organizations that we can all support and learn from. I'm just going to share the names of those and links to their websites in the chat. I do encourage you to take some time to learn more about those organizations and support them with donations if you can. And also, please feel free to share at any time in the chat resources or organizations that you might like to highlight. Thank you. Just a few quick reminders. If you're having any trouble with Zoom, please send me a private message. I am here to help. Please be sure to keep your mic setting on mute unless you're the person speaking. We do encourage you to use the chat to ask questions and connect with other people.
This beer is definitely solid. This beer is like, if you can ever get nitro beer, even if it's like in the can, it's always going to be more creamy than non-nitro beer. But if you can get nitro beer like at the bar when they just pour it, that's going to be ideal. Nitro beer is always better than normal beer. If you've never tasted the difference between a beer when it's on nitro and when it's not, it's like night and day. So it's something that you should definitely experiment with. This is nice and creamy, and it just has like, it's very dark, and it just has like the slightest hint of peppermint. So it's good. Good selection, guys.
People on the call, there'll be a Q&A at the end of this session. So put your questions in the chat. I will be keeping them for that Q&A session at the end. I also want to note that this call includes closed captioning. To activate the captions, click live transcript. That's a button on your toolbar, and you can select show subtitles. We also are providing live ASL interpretation on the call. We are spotlighting interpreters and speakers.
Gwendolyn, that sounds really good, actually.
If you would prefer to see the full group, I invite you to click view in the top right.
I was like dreaming last night of like a cookies and cream milkshake from Red Robin. And I don't even really like Red Robin all that much, except like their Red Robin milkshakes are like crack. I don't like milk. I don't normally drink milkshakes like ever, because I barely even eat. But like Red Robin milkshakes, I don't know what the hell they put in those milkshakes, but they're like crack. They're so good.
Right-hand corner of your screen, and you can select gallery view to see everyone who is here. This is a workshop, so we do encourage you to be active and on camera. However, we also invite you to come to this space as you are. If being on video doesn't feel accessible, that is absolutely okay, and you can experience the session in any way that is the most comfortable to you. Lastly, I just want to note that this event is being
really
recorded,
good, Liquid
and
Marble.
you will all receive a link to it within the next week, and it will also be available on the Roundtable website and YouTube channel. And that is it for me. I'm very, very excited to toss it over to our presenters for this afternoon. We're welcoming Adam Odzes-Rubin, who is the founding artistic director of the National Queer Theater. We're also excited to welcome Nikki Menez,
2022, so
Curatorial
almost 2
Director
years
of
old.
Z Space. Welcome to you both. Let me get you a spotlight here. And we are just so excited to have you. Hey.
Thank you, Kinsey. So excited to be here. Hello, everybody. All right.
I don't think we've watched this before.
Well,
I feel confident we have not watched this before.
Welcome to Queer Liberation in the Classroom by myself, Nikki Menez, and my dear sweet Adam Odses Rubin.
Hey.
We'll introduce ourselves a little more fully in just a bit. But first, we wanted to shout out.
Still thriving here.
No, I didn't want to do that. God damn it. My computer is being so ridiculous right now. It's being so slow. Hang on.
Thank you, Kinsey. So excited to be here.
Does anyone want to?
Hello, everybody.
Hang on. Apparently, I have to wait for it to pause or anything like that. Hang on. Pause. Pause. Fucker. Okay. Does anyone want to vote on who's going to say capitalism first? Is it going to be not the interpreter? Is it going to be Nikki or that other guy? Let me get him back on screen. Hang on. Oh, why can't I show him on screen? Okay. No. God. Okay. So these apparently are our two presenters. We have Nikki, who goes by she, they, or Adam, who goes by he, him. And so who is going to say capitalism first? Hang on. You can't vote for the ASL interpreter bot. I mean, you can, but it's not a good idea. Who will say capitalism first? Is it going to be number 1, Nikki, she, they, or number 2, Adam, he, him? So register your vote in chat about who's going to say capitalism first. We might not get a capitalism today. I don't know. This was a couple years ago. And so we may not get a capitalism today. That is a distinct possibility. But we do have a pretty good, I would say, like 80-85% success rate in terms of getting people to say capitalism. Oh, someone on Rumble says that I'm really the cunt for doxing people. I didn't dox shit, bitch. Goodbye. Jesus Christ. I'm beginning to think that you are the cunt. Goodbye. Conservatives are always so pissy. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. Who's going to say capitalism first?
Thank you, Kinsey. So excited to be here. Hello, everybody. All right. Well, let's kick this off. Welcome to Queer Liberation in the Classroom by myself, Nikki Menez, and my dear sweet Adam Odses Rubin.
Hey.
We'll introduce ourselves a little more fully in just a bit. But first, we wanted to shout out a couple things about the space that we want to build, provide, and support for you all as a part of this conversation about what does queer liberation mean, what does it look like, and how do we show up for it in our classrooms. So first of all, I'd love to just uplift that please speak up in the chat. As Kinsey mentioned, we'll be collecting any and all questions, maybe being able to respond to them here and there.
Why did it stop?
Throughout our conversation today. But otherwise, there will be plenty of time towards the end of our presentation in order to get to your questions. And hopefully be able to build some conversation between you all and where you're all coming from in this practice. Also wanted to speak to some community agreements that we want to set for this space, it being the virtual world. You know, most of you all are off camera, in the chat, and we want to be mindful of how we approach this work and each other. Could I get next slide, please? Oh yes, and say gay.
Resist.
Next slide, please. Thank you.
Stunning and brave.
So our community agreements, I'm sure everyone has a little bit of experience with community agreements, but these are just some that showed up for us while we were building this conversation.
Hang on. Fucking hell, why is this taking so long to
meet
pause?
People where they are. We're all coming from different...
Okay, look at this slide. What does it say on the bot? Seriously, fuck YouTube today. This slide at the bottom says queer liberation is for everyone. What does that mean? How is it possible? This is a pop quiz for the chat. How is it possible that queer liberation is for everyone? What does that actually mean? Does anyone have any guesses that they would like to throw out there? Abolishing gender is for everyone. Yup. Well, there it is. Abolishing gender is for everyone. Must be imposed on everyone. That's true. It would have to be. Queer is a political ideology. Queer is not about being gay or trans. Abolishing the gender binary. Everyone will be, when queer people are liberated from capitalism, everyone will be liberated from capitalism. Queer liberation is for everyone equals everyone should liberate themselves from capitalism by refusing the norm. Excellent definition, Liquid Marble. Prometheus says getting rid of the gender binary and we'll all be our true selves. And of course, they believe our true and authentic selves are queer and that we've just been conditioned through social constructs to see ourselves as men, women, gay, straight, all that stuff. Queer liberation is for everyone because queer is political. It can be inclusive and anyone can be queer. Anyone, you can be a cis, straight, white man and still be queer just by saying that you're queer. Queer liberation means liberation from the gender binary, which would have to happen to everyone in order for it to work. Because everyone must have a socialist consciousness. It's a cult. Yeah, this is a cult. And guys, like, we really need to start treating like the left as though this is a cult. That training that we sat through yesterday for Spy Stream, that was a 3-hour cult indoctrination. It's scary. It really is. We have a cult taking over our entire world. Queer liberation means non-binary for all. It means everyone should be a socialist. Liberation is when you free yourself from capitalism. Queer is not about sexuality. Queer is about ushering in Marxist utopia by abolishing the family to abolish capitalism. Excellent job, guys.
Good backgrounds. We're entering the space, even myself and Adam, as students to this work. We're constantly learning and growing in this work and how we can share that with our students, who are honestly sometimes our best teachers. Want to be mindful not to use purposeful hate speech or derogatory language when engaging with one another in this space. And I wanted to offer that as a disclaimer, we do have some video clips that come up and some stories and scenarios that use such derogatory language. So please, when that comes up, do whatever you need to care for yourself in those moments, however that is showing up for you. Please do speak from the I whenever we might spotlight you to speak up in conversation, or when you're recounting any part of your experience, responding to something. We want to make sure that we're not over, especially in this work, talking about queer identities, queer liberation, and various other ways those things intersect. We don't want to overly generalize, and we want to honor that someone is speaking from their experience. And lastly, queer liberation is for everybody. This is obviously this is a webinar, a panel, a conversation about queer liberation in the classroom, but queer liberation in all of its intersectionality is just one lens on how liberation can happen in the classroom for all. So while we are talking specifically about LGBTQ plus identities and situations and the way that we are able to create that space for those students. It's also inviting students who don't identify that way, or teachers or school communities who don't necessarily identify as queer, to think more openly, empathetically, and yeah, open up that space for all walks, all identities.
Thanks, Nikki. And thanks, Alex. You can take the screen sharing away for a second. So we wanted to kind of start from a personal place before diving into the content. So in terms of thinking about queer inclusion in the classroom, Nikki and I are both teaching artists. We're both arts administrators, but we're also former queer students and, continual queer students of life. So when I work with queer students now, I look at them as, little Adam and little Nikki. And for me, when I was 16, I was in the closet. I was depressed. I was anxious. For a time, I was suicidal, because all I saw in the media and on TV and heard from teachers was that being gay was wrong. Being gay was sick. It was immoral. It was sinful. And when I was 16, and I'll date myself, Prop 8 was on the ballot in California, where Nikki and I grew up. And the rhetoric on TV was really like, oh, if we let 2 men or 2 women marry, like what's going to happen next? They're going to marry pigs or dogs. Society's going to fall apart.
Thanks, conservatives.
And that rhetoric reaches young people.
Thanks, conservatives.
And you start to feel worthless and you don't feel valued. But I did have a gay history teacher who was open and out.
Can you guys see how the conservative rhetoric around gay marriage was hijacked by the left in order essentially to push queer Marxism on all of us? Is that clear to everyone by now? Because there was no reason. Like conservatives who always say that the government should stay out of marriage. Okay, fine. Well, you're not going to win that battle because the government's already in marriage. So if you want the government out of your out of gay marriage, you better get them out of your straight marriage too, right? They were never going to win this battle, and so they resorted to saying, if we allow gay people to get married, that's going to lead to like people marrying dogs, which isn't true. Most gay people do not care about any of that stuff. They don't. Like, they just wanted to be able to marry who they wanted to marry. And so this argument that gay marriage was going to cause this, no, conservatives caused this by making a big old fucking stink and lying about people and pushing their conservative values through legislation on everyone else. And then conservatives' own words were used against them in order to push queer Marxism on everyone. Normal gay people just wanted to be left alone and be allowed to go and visit their husband or their wife in the hospital and be able to have insurance benefits and be able to have kids without a whole bunch of bullshit. That's all that they wanted. And then conservatives had to hijack it and be outlandish in their bullshit, which led directly to all of their bullshit being used against them in order to push queer Marxism on everyone. Does everyone understand how that happened? And conservatives walk right into this trap every single time, where they're just reactionary against everything. And then every single time, conservatives just are reactionary to what the left is doing instead of approaching it from a more strategic way. Every single time, their words and their actions are used against them. This has been going on with book banning for the last 2 years, where conservatives started like this book banning bullshit, and they didn't start with the pornography. Like, conservatives will lie to you and they'll say, we just don't want porn in schools. Well, that's not how the book banning started. That's not how it started. I remember explicitly how the book banning started because I spoke out against it the very minute that it started. It started with a Moms for Liberty chapter in Tennessee that tried to ban Ruby Bridges from the classroom. Ruby Bridges is about a little black girl going to a white school, and they tried to ban that from the classroom because they thought it would make white children feel guilty. And the reason that I knew about it is they went on CNN, which was also stupid. And that's how the whole book banning bullshit started. And now the book banning bullshit has been used against them for 2 years. They show no signs of slowing down because they don't realize how bad it's hurt them, how much it has hijacked everything else that was going on. But they're like, we're winning, we're winning, we're winning. No, you're not, bro. No, you're not. Every reactionary strategy that conservatives implement is used against them every single time. Bro, this is retarded. You're winning on Twitter? Oh yeah? What percent of the country uses Twitter? Does anyone know? What percent of the country is using Twitter? And you think libs of TikTok is why you're winning? Bro, do you understand that most of the stuff posted on libs of TikTok is bullshit clickbait? Like the vast majority of the stuff that is posted on libs of TikTok isn't even effing real. And you guys think you know what the left is doing because you watch libs of TikTok? You have no fucking clue what the left is doing, and libs of TikTok is the reason you have no fucking clue what the left is doing. 2% of the country is active on Twitter. So you want to pretend you're winning some grand war because you're tweeting a lot? 2% of the country is active on Twitter. Oh, Nick. I'm so very sorry. I'm so very sorry, but you just got your ass banned, bro. You just got your ass banned. Goodbye. You want to come into my chat and say, I'm going to marry a dog because you don't like the things that I'm telling you? You can show yourself out, asshole. I don't want you here.
Out to us and ran our high school GSA, and working with him and our drama teacher, who was really open-minded, and doing the Laramie Project in high school and performing in that, really saved my life. And I don't mean that hyperbolically.
Seeing that,
it really
what just happened is so fucking typical of conservatives. Conservatives hear something they don't want to hear. They hear a truth they don't want to hear, and they go, "You're gonna marry a dog, and you're a dyke, and you're fat, and you're ugly, and and then they guarantee that I never vote for them again, and then they guarantee that I spend all my time trying to convince people not to vote for their candidates again, but they just can't fucking help themselves. They just can't help themselves. There's something fucking dysfunctional about the conservative brain, where it's like they have no impulse control. They don't know how to shut the fuck up. They go to the most extreme possible position every time they don't like something. For conservatives to have run around saying facts don't care about your feelings, when all fucking conservatives care about are their feelings. That's all they care about. So fucking crazy. This is why they always lose. Because someone tells them something they don't want to hear, and they go, "You're marrying a dog. Aren't you gross? You're engaging in bestiality. You're a pedophile. You're a groomer. You're fat. You're ugly." Then it's like, all right, bro. Well, thanks for confirming every single thing I just said. You proved my point, asshole.
It saved my life. It really helped me when I was very suicidal. And it helped me realize that I not only was attracted to boys, but that I was part of a community and a history and a culture that went far beyond just my my private attraction, and that there were other queer people out there, and that I was loved as a young person. So I share that with you because, you know, that little suicidal kid grew up and started a queer theater company and is now you know, talking with a bunch of amazing teaching artists about how to support queer youth in the classroom. So, you know, you have the power to do that with your students. Nikki?
Thank you for sharing your story, Adam. Yeah, as Adam said, we're both Bay Area kids from California. That's where I'm calling in from currently. Yalamu, which is colonially known as San Francisco, and is on the land of the Ramaytush-speaking
another
people.
Land blessing, second land
here
blessing.
I have stayed as a resident, a settler, an arts administrator, and as Adam said, a teacher. And for me, growing up on the other side of the bay, opposite to Adam, and going to a private Catholic all-femme school, I was
Not female,
surprised
femme.
at the way in which queer representation at a school setting you might assume would be more conservative was able to help me blossom into an identity I didn't know was possible for me as a young person.
Well, this is an interesting question. So, isn't she a colonizer also? She actually called herself a settler. She says, "I'm a settler in San Francisco." Settler and colonizer are basically the same thing. So good note.
So being surrounded by femmes, and also having, it's very similar to Adam's experience, like out gay teachers, and especially the privilege of a local HIV/AIDS activist, Greg Casson, coming to our women in relationships classes and talking about his experience as a gay man who is religious and is HIV positive. That representation, and we'll talk more and more about this through our conversation today, but that representation is so important. And that helped a lot of my fellow classmates come out together, which was beautiful. Come out over the years and be in community with each other, and allowed me to truly sit in that blossoming when I got to college and was able to really expand what queerness looked and felt like to me. So since then,
Slime obsidian.
though I sit in my
Hang
job
on.
as a
Slime
curatorial director
obsidian.
at Z Space currently, for about 6-7 years, I was directing an educational theater program through a queer theater company here in SF called New Conservatory.
A queer
and
theater
this
company.
program has existed since the 80s in order to combat misinformation about HIV and AIDS, but also to be able to use that as a platform to teach about empathy to all grade levels. So we were producing original plays and having beautiful talkbacks with these students, really hard talkbacks with these students about identity, about sitting in your own identity, and then also having a relationship with somebody else's identity that you might not understand, and that understanding or not is okay in those relationships. And sometimes that can help you grow an understanding of yourself. One of my favorite things to tell both the students and the adult actors who were performing these plays was that when you make a healthy choice for yourself, you're also making a healthy choice for someone else. And that's both important, physically and biologically, but also emotionally. Because when you show that love and respect for yourself, you can model it for others. You can act on it towards others. So that's me.
You're so cool, Nikki.
So cool. You're so cool.
If we can screen share again, Alex, to the National Queer Theater slide, please.
National Queer Theater.
So I'm the founding artistic director at National Queer Theater. I just want to give a quick plug, not for, for National Queer Theater, but also for your students as a resource and your teaching artists. So we are New York's LGBTQ theater company. We foster and support queer communities through social justice in the performing arts. And we produce new plays by, for, and about queer communities. And we also offer a lot of free education programs for the queer and trans community.
When they say social justice, what do they mean? Pop quiz. What does the term social justice mean to these people? What is our translation from socialist? What does social justice mean? Every time you hear social justice, what does that mean? Social justice is socialist, is socialism. Social justice is Okay, so let's break this one down. Let's break this one down. Liquid marble. Why does social justice mean abolishing capitalism? Why? Because of equity? What does that mean? Tell me more. Social justice means a centralized democracy under a socialist system because they believe the only democracy is socialism. Social justice. They want to abolish capitalism because they believe it is the root of all evil. But why does that mean justice? Why does that mean justice, guys? Focus in specifically on the justice word. We know the social and social justice means socialist. What does the justice mean? Why is abolishing capitalism justice for society? Because until capitalism is gone, there is no equity. Justice means equity. Justice means you are not free until capitalism is gone. Because it is equitable. When we have equity, everyone will not only have the same opportunities, not only the same opportunities, but what? Capitalism doesn't mean equity. Justice for society equals equity for everyone. Why is equity the same as justice? Why, when they say justice, do they mean equity? Give me more. When we have equity, we have the same outcomes. Same outcomes. Justice means fairness, and they define fairness as everyone has the same outcomes. Equity means an equal distribution of misery. Well, that's an interesting way to look at it, Martin. A little bit black pill for sure. When we have equity, all resources are distributed equally, so you have the same outcomes. Justice means fairness, and equity is fair because when we have equity, everyone has the same outcomes. Equity, everyone has the same outcomes. We will all have the same outcomes. Well done, guys.
New York City, and specifically marginalized communities within the queer umbrella. And it is a very queer umbrella. So in terms of youth programs, we have done a lot of residencies with New Alternatives and Ali Forney Center, working with LGBTQ youth experiencing homelessness. We're also starting a new program last year funded by the Matisse Foundation called Staging Pride Queer Youth Theater. That's going to be a free after-school queer youth theater program at the LGBT Center starting in February. So we would love for you to send students there. And we're also still looking for teaching artists for that. So if you identify as a queer or trans theater teaching artist, definitely shoot me an email, and I'll that's at the end of the slideshow, and I'll put it in the chat as well. Great, we can go to the next slide.
Glisten!
So before we share information on supporting queer students and teachers in the classroom, we wanted to share a bit of why that's so important.
I just want to make a note that my community knew about Glisten a full 2 years ahead of when conservatives discovered Glisten, because we started watching Glisten content in 2021. Conservatives didn't discover Glisten until Glisten was working with Target over last summer, where they had like the non-binary bathing suits that were being sold in Target, and Glisten was working with them on that. And then conservatives were all uppity about Glisten, but my audience knew about Glisten 2 years before conservatives. Just saying, ahead of them again.
Important, and how much that's lacking, and why it's needed.
Hang on.
So in a 20.
Hang on. Liquid Marble hasn't heard of Glisten. You haven't heard of Glisten? GLSEN is a social justice leftist organization that basically one of the things that GLSEN does is they run gender sexuality alliances in schools, and they really target kids with like information about like they're basically they're pushing queer Marxism into schools through the gender sexuality alliances, but they also work with a lot of major corporations. Like they have a lot of corporate sponsorship in order to offer their programs. And one of the things they did last summer was they worked with Target to have like their whole Pride Month or several month like display in Target where they had like non-binary bathing suits with like Packers and things like that, and like chest binders and stuff like that available for Target. And GLSEN was all up in that stuff. So GLSEN is one of the big kind of like GLSEN is one of the organizations that you need to watch out for if they're working with your kid's school, because they work with schools all over the country in order to push. They basically teach kids how to become queer activists through the GSA clubs or the rainbow clubs. Yeah, I know GLSEN has webinars. We watched a lot of them. We watched a lot of them in 2021. This is how I know what they do. So if your kid's school works with GLSEN, you need to be careful about that.
2019 School Climate Survey from GLSEN, which is an amazing resource. It stands for the Gay, Lesbian, Straight Education Network. They have a lot of resources on their website for LGBTQ students, teachers, teaching artists, not arts organizations, but nonprofit organizations, researchers, data. So in this school climate survey, so this is pre-COVID, 59.1% of LGBTQ students felt unsafe at school because of their sexual orientation, 42.5% of their gender expression, and 37.4% because of their gender. So that's a majority of queer students
feel unsafe because their
feel
teachers
unsafe
are
at school.
constantly telling them they're unsafe.
Almost all LGBTQ students, 98.8%, heard the word gay used in a negative way, i.e. that's so gay.
I think that's a pretty positive way to use gay
heard
myself.
These remarks frequently or often.
We need to call,
and 91.8% reported that they felt distressed because of this language. So I'll use myself as an example. You know, in high school, everyone was saying that everything was so gay and that meant bad. And then I felt bad because gay meant bad and I was gay. So I used the transitive property, which I also learned in school, to understand that I should hate myself. And that's the messaging that queer youth get in school when they hear this kind of language. And it's really pervasive. And I've actually been in a lot of classrooms where students are using this language and teachers don't interrupt it. So would really encourage you to interrupt this kind of language. We want you to say gay. We want students to say gay, but in a positive or at least neutral
only
way.
In the way that we want them to say gay.
And then nearly a fifth of LGBTQ students reported having ever changed schools due to feeling unsafe or uncomfortable at school. I was bullied a lot in school, called gay, called fag, beat up sometimes. And I changed schools in after 5th grade because I wasn't safe at my school, and I certainly wasn't able to learn. So this is a really pervasive problem. And queer students get behind in school academically because they miss class, because they miss school, because of bullying, because of problems at home. So this really affects students academically. We can go to the next slide. Thank you. The vast majority of queer students experience harassment or assault based on personal characteristics, including sexual orientation, gender expression, gender, actual or perceived religion, actual or perceived race, ethnicity, and actual or perceived disability. And I think the use of actual or perceived is really important because, you know, we don't always know students' identities and their peers might not always know their identities. But if a student dresses a certain way or looks a certain way or talks a certain way, students can be harassed based on perceived identity or characteristics. I remember plenty of straight kids getting bullied for being gay in school, even if they weren't gay, because they weren't into sports or they liked theater or, you know, these kinds of things. Less than 1/5 of queer students reported that school staff intervened most of the time or always when hearing homophobic remarks at school. and less than 1/10 of queer students reported that school staff intervened most of the time or always when overhearing negative remarks about gender expression. So it's really critical that you speak up and not be a bystander when you hear negative comments about students' sexuality, gender identity, or gender expression, because you're the role model in that classroom or in that hallway or even outside of the school after school when you're tired and you want to go to Starbucks. It's really important to speak up and say that's not okay. Only about 20% of queer students were taught positive representation of LGBTQ people, history, or events in their schools, and 17% were taught negative content about queer topics. So I'm also Jewish. You know, I went to a Jewish school as a kid. My parents are Jewish, my family's Jewish. I was taught positive things about Judaism and about Jewish culture and history in school and at home, but not about queerness. So I didn't have any role models. There was no representation except maybe like Queer Eye for the Straight Guy, like the original, without like Anthony, who's so cute, like the original with Carson Kressley, who's like a little annoying. That's all we had. And like queer as folk, like I snuck the DVDs like in the basement at my parents' place as a kid. Totally not appropriate. So one thing we'll talk about is incorporating LGBTQ topics into your curriculum. You know, we'll talk about the Don't Say Gay bills that are happening across the country, but luckily in New York, we don't have that, at least yet. I don't think we will, but you can include LGBTQ topics in your curriculum, whether it's math or history or science or theater or art or dance. And we're happy to share resources so you can do that effectively. But even, you know, having two dads spoken about in a math problem and a word problem, it makes a difference in terms of understanding that you're not alone. Yes, thanks, Alberto. Surprise, queer people are present in all subjects. This is a quote from this Splitton study. I got rocks thrown at me and was beaten by kids at my school. I never told anyone about this, not a parent, school staff member,
How
or
old?
peer.
How old?
So not only is this harassment happening against queer
I
and
don't
trans
believe that
students in
happened
school
recently.
and after school, but a lot of this harassment goes unreported. And even when it is reported, often harassment goes unaddressed by adults in the school, at home, and there's often a lack of consequences even when it is addressed. So, I mean, imagine a student at a school where you're doing a residency has homophobic parents, and maybe the principal is not very familiar with LGBT issues. Even if a student says, hey, I'm being bullied for being trans, there's not a guarantee that adults will do something about it, which is a huge barrier for youth
to
addressing
life,
harassment in
bro.
school.
There's never a guarantee of anything.
Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so this is, we're going back in time a bit. In 1978, there was an initiative called the Briggs Initiative, named after a homophobic California politician. Prop 6 was on the ballot in California. In California, we vote a lot on things that probably shouldn't be voted on. And this ballot initiative was to exclude LGBTQ people from being able to teach in California public schools. And a young political activist named Harvey Milk, before he was famous and elected into City Hall, was fighting against the Briggs Initiative. This is actually what made him famous. So here's a clip of Harvey Milk and his colleague, Sally Gerhardt.
There are already laws on the books to protect our children. Everybody from the superintendent of schools, Wilson Riles, to Jerry Brown, to newspaper editors across the state, agree that indeed we have the laws to protect our children. I was born of heterosexual parents. I was taught by heterosexual teachers in a fiercely heterosexual society with television ads and newspaper ads, fiercely heterosexual, a society that puts down homosexuality. And why am I homosexual if I'm affected by role models I should have been a heterosexual. And no offense meant, but if teachers are going to affect you as role models, there'd be a lot of nuns running around the streets today.
Sometimes I think what we were faced with in Proposition 6 was not so much a conflict of values as two sets of fears. The incredible fears that the gay community had, all of us, that here we were being stomped on by what was turning out to be the moral majority. I mean, our very lives were being, threatened. The ways that we live, what our lifestyle is, and our reaction was extreme, and it should have been extreme. But then when you get into the other person's shoes, you figure that there was a lot of fear on the part of the fundamentalists as well. I mean, when you've lived your entire life believing in a certain social structure, believing in certain sex roles, believing in the ways that men and women should relate to each other, believing in the family, believing in what you believe God says should be the way human beings should relate within the family structure. And all of a sudden, there are these perverts out here saying that there are ways to live that are different from that, and that furthermore it's great and beautiful and true and good, then you're threatened. And the very fabric of what this nation is supposed to be made up of, in the eyes of the fundamentalists, was actually being attacked, or is actually being attacked by.
So I want to go back because bot missed it. Yeah, this person, I don't know who this is. I should have been paying closer attention, but this person was like, you've been taught to believe in like all these things and the family. And I'm like, listen, man, queer activism has been around for a long ass time. It just didn't recently it didn't really get a foothold though until after gay marriage was legalized by the Supreme Court nationally, and that's when the queer activism bullshit really took off. But they've been trying to do this stuff for like a long ass time. Like queer Marxists were trying to hijack the legitimate gay rights movement for like since the 70s. This is in the 70s, right? 70s or 80s. Let's listen again.
By role models. I should have been a heterosexual. And no offense meant, but if teachers are going to affect you as role models, there'd be a lot of nuns running around the streets today.
Sometimes I think what we were faced with in Proposition 6 was not so much a conflict of values as two sets of fears. The incredible fears that the gay community had, all of us, that here we were being stomped on by what was turning out to be the moral majority. I mean, our very lives were being, threatened. The ways that we live, what our lifestyle is, and our reaction was extreme, and it should have been extreme. But then when you get into the other person's shoes, you figure that there was a lot of fear on the part of the fundamentalists as well. I mean, when you've lived your entire life believing in a certain social structure, believing in certain sex roles, believing in the ways that men and women should relate to each other, believing in the family, believing in what you believe God says should be the way human beings should relate within the family structure. And all of a sudden, there are these perverts out here saying that there are ways to live that are different from that, and that furthermore it's great and beautiful and true and good, then you're threatened. And the very fabric of what this nation is supposed to be made up of, in the eyes of the fundamentalists, was actually being attacked.
I would really like to do a thing sometime where like we go back and we watch like old like gay and queer activist speeches from like the 70s and like old Angela Davis speeches and stuff like that. I just don't know where to find this stuff. So if anyone has any ideas on like how to find, like, I'm talking like I want to see speeches from like the 60s and the 70s out in New York where they have the great hair and like all this stuff. I just don't know how to find them. And so if anyone has any ideas about that, or if we find anything like that, let me know, because that would be I think that would be like really, really fun and entertaining, and it would actually give us a lot of information about how they like we will continue to like reverse engineer this bullshit. I think it would be great. Yeah, I mean, it's got to be out there somewhere. It has to be out there somewhere. We just need to find it, right?
It's actually being attacked by gay people.
Thank you. Luckily, the Bruce Initiative
was
rejected by California voters after a push from Ronald Reagan, who was governor, and Jimmy Carter. It's kind of shocking to believe that Ronald Reagan actually helped defeat this conservative initiative, but it shows you how much more divisive politics have
Because he
become in
wasn't
our
a
country
conservative.
on social issues. A few definitions for our work today and for life. I've already been using LGBTQ and queer interchangeably. Queer, at least for me, is an umbrella term that incorporates all non-hetero, non-cis identities.
Wrong.
And I would also say like has a more political or more activist connotation to it. Historically, the word was reclaimed in the 80s and 90s by groups like Queer Nation and ACT UP. Excuse me. Obviously queer historically has been a slur, but has now been adopted, especially by, I would say, ages like 50 and below, queer people and trans people as a term of liberation. When we do classes at National Queer Theater with queer elders, they're like, don't use the word queer, it's insulting. But with young people and adults, we usually use the word queer, and it's okay to say the word queer if you are a straight ally, as long as you're using it mindfully and positively.
I'll
it's
use
okay.
the term in whatever
I give you
way
permission.
I want, bro.
You can have my gay card if you need it. LGBTQ stands for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and then some people add in an I for intersex. The former, now outdated term is hermaphrodite, if you're familiar with that, but we use intersex as a more respectful term. Also, sometimes people put in A for ally or asexual. Sometimes people put in a Q for questioning. We've not agreed in the gay agenda meetings on one acronym, but LGBTQ or LGBT or LGBTQIA are all fine. And when we talk about queer liberation, we're really talking about queer and trans people being able to be themselves fully, being able to be ourselves fully.
No, wrong.
Being able to express ourselves fully.
He's a useful idiot.
And that can look a lot of different ways. It doesn't have to be.
Does everyone understand why I just identified our friend Adam as a useful idiot? And I really do think he's a useful idiot too. I think he doesn't. I think Adam thinks like, I think Adam had a hard time in school because he was gay, and so Adam is really trying to make the world a better place for gay people, and there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. And it sucks that Adam had a hard time in school, but like Adam is a useful idiot for a far left political ideology. Does anyone want to take a guess about why I said that? And I think I'll answer your question with the answers that people give me. Why did I say that Adam is a useful idiot for a far left political ideology? He doesn't know what the real agenda is. That's definitely part of it. He was indoctrinated in school. Well, no, like maybe not fully. I think he was exposed to it. I think he wasn't indoctrinated though. Well, he knows that queer is political. He said that queer was more political, so he's right about that. He doesn't know what queer, he doesn't fully understand what queer means. He thinks that queer is about identity. He doesn't know the language. That's right, Sin. He does not know the language. He's not speaking socialist. He's speaking, I had a hard time as a gay kid in school, and so I don't want other gay kids to have a hard time. That's the language he's speaking, which is, again, nothing wrong with that. No, he does see queer as political. He said it was political. He's using their terms incorrectly. Yep. He furthers their cause without understanding what their cause is. That's a really good definition, Nate. He isn't fluent in socialist. Tate, and this is really good. He's speaking pre-gay marriage language. Yes. Yes. His perspective of the world was created pre-gay marriage, and he hasn't realized that his own movement has fundamentally changed since gay marriage was legalized. Also, like, there is something kind of like intangible when I'm identifying who's a true believer and a useful idiot. And I do want to acknowledge that there is something intangible to say this guy doesn't have the, like, true believers. And I think you see this the more you watch socialism. True believers have an energy, they have a vibe. It's like you can pick up on the energy of a true believer almost immediately. Adam does not have the energy of a true believer. And that's just something intangible. I can't describe it any other way than that. But it's like one of the things is like when you know when you're looking at a true believer. You know. And the more you watch socialism, the more you will be able to pick out that's a true believer, that's a useful idiot.
You know, a drag queen being fabulous. It could just be someone living their daily life. But that we're not hindered by societal homophobia.
We have a conservative retard in our chat, so we're going to try to correct them. And then if he doesn't want to be corrected, we can just ban him. Johnny Q is our conservative retard of the day. It has always been a racial struggle. It's the same way conservatives will masquerade in a like a demographics. Blah, 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 blah. These groups always explicitly say we want to replace white people. No, bro. No. They don't care about white people. They care about capitalism. You've got that reversed, Johnny. I know you're probably a racist little fuckwad, but you've got that reversed. You got it wrong, and you're trying to get us to conform to the narrative that you want to sell. We don't play that shit here. No, Johnny, this is fundamentally wrong, bro. Those aren't socialist academics. So now you're lying and you're promoting bullshit, probably because you're someone that I banned from my chat to begin with. And now you're back because you're a retard and you didn't learn your lesson in the first place. Oh, I'm not making it about the Jews. Why aren't I doing that, Johnny? Could it be because Karl Marx hated the Jews and you assholes can't reconcile with that because you're desperate to frame everything's about the Jews, but you can't provide any receipts because you're fucking retards, you're low fucking brow retards that don't do anything except go around saying, it's the Jews, it's the Jews, it's the Jews. But you can't provide any receipts to back up your bullshit because you're a conservative fucking retard. You haven't provided receipts, you fucking retard. And I'll keep calling you a retard because that's just the way this is going to go. I'm in no mood for this bullshit today. This is probably the guy I banned earlier, and now he's gone off. He's gone off and he had a good cry because conservative retards always cry when they get banned for being conservative retards. And then they come back and they're like, I'm going to show them. I'm going to show them. It's all about the Jews. It's the Jews. It's the Jews. It's the Jews. But no receipts. No receipts to back up anything he is saying. Yep. This is Johnny. Johnny is whining and complaining, and he's that meme of the child that's on the floor like, that's Johnny right now. And so Johnny is getting banned. Goodbye, asshole. You are not welcome back. I'm in no mood for this bullshit today.
Or transphobia. Heteronormativity. The word hetero in there is the idea that straight is normal or assumed. So often when we have a classroom in a school and we have 20 or 30 plus students, many teachers will assume that all their students are straight.
By the way, I am still waiting for any groiper, any of you, because I know it's you guys that are doing this shit, any of you to provide me with verifiable evidence that the Jews are behind this stuff in the real world. I just want one single piece of verifiable evidence, groipers, that because I have evidence from Marx. I know Marx didn't like the Jews. I have evidence from socialist presentations where they're flat out saying they don't like the Jews. We can look at what's going on at colleges and leftist protests all over the country where they are flat out taking the side of Hamas. Socialists don't like the Jews. I go undercover at socialist events that you guys are way too cowardly to even attempt to consider, and they don't like the Jews there. I absolutely will not watch Lauren Witzke, who is a psycho, or Stu Peters, who is also a psycho. I'm waiting for one piece of primary source evidence. Primary source, not your influencers told you X, Y, B, and Z, not Nick Fuentes said X, Y, B, and Z. I don't care. If you don't have receipts, I don't want to fucking hear it. And I still, months after Groyper started being like, it's all the Jews, Carlin, it's the Jews, it's the Jews, it's the Jews. I have yet to see one piece of primary source evidence. So put up or shut up, Groypers. I'm sick and tired of hearing it. Socialists talk about everything they're doing. They talk about it in trainings. They talk about it in videos. They talk about it in books. They talk about it at events. They talk about it at conferences. They talk about it all the fucking time. So if you guys can't provide me with one piece of primary source evidence, you're just being fucking lazy.
Unless proven otherwise, or unless someone comes out to them. And a lot of students will assume teachers are straight and cisgender unless something is said otherwise. And this is one reason why coming out is so important, I think especially for teachers, because even with this hair, students will just assume I'm straight unless I come out to them. And it's easy to assume that students are straight or cisgender unless they come out, because society normalizes straightness and cisgenderness. Non-binary, non-conforming are words for people who don't identify with the gender binary, male, female, man, woman. It doesn't mean that people are both. It means that people are outside of the binary.
It means they're neither.
And young people will, if you ask 50 young queer and trans people how they identify their gender, you'll get 50 different answers usually, or at least 40. Young people use many different words for gender, and those words will continue to evolve. And even I sometimes am like, oh, I've never heard of that one. And that's okay. You can ask politely, oh, what does that mean to you? And then we already addressed this, but that's so gay is something we hear a lot in schools.
This presentation is so
to mean that's so
gay.
bad, or like that's so weird.
Fake and gay.
So we just want to interrupt that kind of speech in schools. Okay, so finally, we're getting to the not that's so gay. The Don't Say Gay bills that started recently
I'm going to make a
Florida,
t-shirt with
but have now multiplied across the country.
I think.
So here's a news clip with some context.
Florida tonight, where Governor Ron DeSantis has signed that bill into law, banning instruction on sexual orientation and gender identity with younger children through third grade. ABC's Victor Akendo in Florida tonight.
That bill.
Show it off official.
Tonight, it's official. Florida's controversial Don't Say Gay bill, as it's known by critics, signed into law by Governor Ron.
I'm either going to do that or socialism is so, I should do socialism is so gay. Socialism is gay or socialism is queer. I would do socialism is gay or socialism is queer. See, socialism is gay works though. Oh God, I have to. Socialism is gay. I'm going to make that t-shirt. Socialism is gay.
On DeSantis.
We will make sure that parents can send their kids to school to get an education, not an indoctrination.
The parental rights in education law now banning classroom instruction on sexual orientation or gender identity in grades K through 3, and any instruction that is not age appropriate or developmentally appropriate. It's now up to the state to update and define those standards. The law also allowing parents to sue school districts that violate these policies. The bill sparking protests for weeks. Critics argue it will marginalize LGBTQ families and prevent schools from helping students in need. Democratic State Senate candidate Janelle Perez and her wife Monica have 2 daughters, one starting in kindergarten this fall.
My daughters are going to be raised to be incredibly proud of our family, and we will never be silenced. We will never be forced to hide in plain sight.
And the law is expected to go into effect
on July 1st. David?
All right, Victor Akendo tonight. Victor, thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel.
Okay. So both Don't Say Gay bills and the banning of books with LGBT content, as well as content that is including so-called critical race theory.
So-called.
This is really proliferating and growing across the country.
Sam
And as
Cedar,
we get
why are we
more
watching
visibility
Sam
and more
Cedar?
rights for LGBTQ people,
God
there's
damn
more
it.
backlash. So it's even more important in more, I would say, LGBTQ-friendly states like New York or California that we're visible and open about our support for LGBTQ youth and trans youth in particular, making resources available, speaking about it. And I would also say with Zoom, if you are an arts administrator at a arts organization or a teaching artist with an arts organization, if you're able to use Zoom to open up your youth programming to queer youth in some of these states in the South and the Midwest, that's also a really powerful tool
Fugitive
for access
pedagogy.
for queer youth.
Fugitive pedagogy.
Okay, and then
smuggler
this video
pedagogy. That's what he just
something
talked
that's
about.
been in the news in the past week. Famous playwright David Mamet was commenting on the Don't Say Gay bill and shared these comments in the video here.
Playwright David Mamet, who wrote Glengarry Glen Ross. I haven't seen the whole movie, but I have seen that Alec Baldwin always be closing speech. It's pretty legendary. So surprised that he's a right-wing reactionary. He maybe says the quiet part a little bit too loud when talking about teachers in general in regards to Don't Say Gay legislation throughout the country, and particularly in Florida.
But we have to take back control. If there's no community control of the schools, what we have is kids being not only indoctrinated, but groomed.
True.
In a very real sense by people who are, whether they know it or not, sexual predators. Are they abusing the kids physically? No, I don't think so.
Well,
but they're
sometimes
abusing
they
them
are.
mentally and using sex to do so. This has always been the problem with education, is that teachers are inclined, particularly men, because men are predators, to pedophilia. And that's why there were strict community strictures about it.
So
thank
true.
God. So this started to break down when the schools said, you know what, we have to teach the kids about sex.
So true.
Why? Because what if they don't do it at home?
And this is exactly it. All of these people who want to, like, whether it's Joe Rogan or like a Substacker saying that parents have the rights to, like.
So with all this historical context and all this context about what's happening in the news recently, you can see that queer and trans youth and queer teachers and trans teachers are really under attack in this country, which makes the work of supporting queer liberation in the classroom incredibly urgent and incredibly important. We're so happy you're here, and now we'll be a bit more uplifting and share some really proactive tactics you can use in and outside the classroom to support queer youth. And I'll turn it over to Nikki.
Thank you, Adam. And thank you for all of that, all the data, the facts, and those clips. As hard as they are to watch, it's really important to, see past the rainbow colored.
Hang on, I got a super chat from MB. Thank you, MB. Hey, Carlin, I graduated in 2015 from a public school and had to do standardized tests. Would that be Marxism or something else? Standardized tests have always been in public school. So no, standardized tests are not Marxism, but I bet you were tested in Marxism on that standardized test and you didn't even know it. Standardized tests, I think we need to bring back standardized testing so far as I'm concerned. One of the ways that that all this bullshit is fucking up the schools is everyone's saying you can't expect kids to you can't expect everyone to test well, and therefore we should get rid of standardized tests. But in the getting rid of standardized tests, no one has any metric in which to say here is exactly. Standardized tests are meritocracy. That's exactly right, Tayton. They were trying to get rid of standardized testing. I remember it was when I was working at Harvard. Harvard was my first ever job in higher education. I worked in higher education for 10 years at like the very beginning of my career. And it was like when I was working at Harvard that there was starting to be a massive push among teachers. I noticed I was working in the Graduate School of Education. There started being like a massive push among teachers to like get rid of all standardized testing. This was back in like the early 2000s. And so like and now I understand that they want to get rid of standardized testing because it's meritocracy and they don't believe in meritocracy. So no, I think standardized testing is good. Bring back standardized testing. I know no one likes taking them, John, but like, look at what's happened. No one knows how to read and write and do math anymore. Kids can't even make change if they have a cashier job. Yeah, well, college entrance exams are standardized testing. Like, Oregon got rid of all standardized testing. The most woke schools are getting rid of standardized testing. So if the woke schools are getting rid of standardized testing, that means we want to bring back standardized testing because we want to do the opposite of what they're doing, even if we don't like taking standardized tests. No one likes taking a test, all right?
Lenses that one might, be surrounded by. I speak for myself, being in San Francisco in our little blue and rainbow bubble. And even in this blue and rainbow bubble, there's still confrontations that shock but don't surprise me sometimes. When it comes to both students, teachers, school communities, and just walking through the world out and proud. As Adam said, we want to support you all and start like generating ideas about how you can support the movement of queer liberation in your own classrooms, in your own relationships, whether it's teacher to teacher, student to student, or acting in advocacy in your own school community and possibly in your district. So first on our list is supporting queer and trans students in the classroom. Thank you, slide. Setting the culture.
See, what I have to, hang on. What I have to do next to really complete my anti-hero look is I have to redo my office in the way that I've been threatening to redo my office for like 2 years now, in that I want to paint the whole wall behind me like a very deep red, kind of like this red, but maybe even a little bit deeper. And I want to hang up all of my like socialist propaganda stuff that I've been collecting for the past 2 years, like the like you can't get like rid of, like you can't talk about anti-racism without anti-capitalism poster. I want to hang up the restraining order I got from that school that time for yelling "We know where you live" at the school board. I need to like this green color is too cheery. Like it was good at the time. It matched my business branding at the time when I was really, but like I need to paint my office. I need to get some new art up there. I have good art that I've been like waiting. I have the best fucking Aries painting that I commissioned sitting in the corner over here, just waiting to be hung up on my wall. You guys are going to love it. Anyway.
Teachers and administrators in particular.
That'll complete the anti-hero look.
Understand how much your moves and the way that you walk through the world
no green screen.
We've talked
a
lot
none of
about
that
this
bullshit.
so far. No. I feel like there are concentric circles around a lot of the things we're going to touch on. And as a reminder for myself and everybody, the fact that queer liberation is for everyone means that, it's not just, this moving through the world is not just for the queer students.
Aha!
Be the supportive adult.
Hang on. I got to go use the little socialist room. I'll be right back. Everyone take notes. Let me know what I miss.
It's that's a broad stroke. Yes, Alberto, everyone. Being the supportive adult can show up in really different ways, depending on your relationship with students, relationships with community. But that open honesty, listening with your heart before you listen with your brain, sometimes can really make the difference for a queer student who's questioning or exploring and needs a place to land wherever they're at in the context of their lives in and outside of school. So like the micro moments, the instances where you can open up and model that for a queer young person who is just trying to get through their school day can be so important and so much more impactful than we realize. Ask and respect pronouns. We've talked a little bit more about this. Adam said, as Adam said, if you ask a class of students what their pronouns are, what their identities are, you might get 50 different answers, depending on the students and depending on the school. But again, that modeling, being able to open up with, "Hi, I'm Nikki. My pronouns are she, they," and remembering how important it was for me to be able to hear that from somebody else as an adult, especially. Being able to open up my perception of what the gender spectrum and the sexuality spectrum is. Again, that modeling, that offering of, hey, you can take up space in this way. And if, a student's pronouns change from one day to the next, there's still that space for them when they come land in that classroom. Micro matters. I mean, I've been talking about this, the modeling of behavior, the way that you interact even with your peers and colleagues can matter so much to the way that the students listen to what you're doing, even if they might not be listening to what you're trying to teach them, like in your curriculum. It is so important that they are able to see an expansive amount of adult representation and the way that that openness can perpetuate in the way that they relate to their classmates, their peers. And start or advise your school's Gender and Sexuality Alliance. If you haven't heard of a GSA before, it's a national network that supports students, teachers, advisors, school communities about how to better support, build community and create change by empowering queer and allied students on their own campuses. Can I get the next slide, please? Uplift and inspire.
Oh, I can change my name on Twitter. Fuck
as
yes.
with the modeling,
Fuck yes, I can finally change my name back on Twitter.
Especially if you are, say, a teaching artist and you are, offering more complexity than is from your own identity or experience. As Adam was saying, you can include two same-sex parent couple in a math problem. It's the little things about those representation and normalizing.
Yes, I have my name back on Twitter.
Nature of humanity outside of heteronormativity. That again is small, seems so small.
No,
but matters a
hang
whole
on. Here's what happened. I did not accidentally rename myself anything. What happened is I was updating the Unwoke wiki profile and I was logged in. I'm logged into like 5 Twitter accounts at once because I have a lot of Twitter accounts. And so I was logged in under the Unwoke wiki profile that I just started. And I was updating the bio for the Unwoke wiki profile. And then for some fucking reason, Twitter decided to migrate everything in the Unwoke wiki profile to my main profile. I didn't do this. Twitter changed my name. Twitter changed my bio. Twitter changed the link that I have to in my main Twitter profile. And I couldn't change it for like 4 fucking days because I have a blue check on my main profile. And once you change your name on a blue check profile, your profile has to be manually reviewed by Twitter to get your blue check back, even though I'm ID verified on Twitter, so they damn well know who I am. And so I had to wait 4 fucking days to change my name back on my profile that I didn't change in the goddamn first place. So now, no bot, I didn't spell it that way. You're lying to try to piss me off. So now my name is back on Twitter. I'm very excited by this.
And then being purposeful about it. Creating visible representation of LGBTQ rights in your classroom. How are you teaching history? How are you teaching literature? Who are you including in those curriculums? And who are the posters of people that you put up in your classroom? So when students walk in, they see, feel, hear that they are welcome as well. And selecting culturally appropriate curriculum. Again, that's, how can you see what is on your plate in your curriculum with your students? And I realize I'm talking very specifically about the teacher experience. And I think there's much more about curriculum than just what happens inside a single classroom. How are you encouraging school assemblies, and what are they about? That is also a part of curriculum. How are any extracurriculars also uplifting LGBTQ+ voices and narratives? And again, that expansive thinking of where you're sitting in your own school. And next slide, please. And mindfulness. Again, I feel like I've talked about this in so many different shades and flavors already, but the way that you walk through the school, the way that you're listening is so apparent to impressionable young people, and can also help set tones for colleagues in how they approach queer and trans students in their own classrooms. Just respecting things like, not all kids are ready to come out. Lots of them are, exploring and can't really define where they're at, and that's okay. That's a part of child development. That's a part of development as an adult person even. So being able to hold space for what they're grappling with, as opposed to calling them out, making an example, shining too much of a spotlight on them, just focusing on the listening aspect, and allowing for the environment around them to be more supple and flexible to their experience, included in the whole community of a classroom. Acknowledge students with same-sex parents and other ways that queer identities show up in the world. Representation matters. I don't think we can say that enough. And the little ways that show up build to be.
Hang on. Does anyone want to educate Michael about why he's wrong about us living in a matriarchy? Because Michael is a groyper, or he is groyper adjacent. I'm not sure which it is. But Michael is convinced we live in a matriarchy. Why is Michael wrong? Pop quiz for the chat. Do we live in a matriarchy, or is it something else that's going on that Michael does not understand because he has learned nothing since he started watching my channel? Yeah, I'm aware, Andre. I'll take care of that later. I will take care of that later. What doesn't Michael understand when he says we are in a matriarchy? Michael doesn't understand. The left wants to abolish all gender. They want to make us all non-binary. All non-binary. They want not just gender fluid. They don't want gender fluid. They want everyone non-binary, so we have a genderless society. That's what they're working towards. They don't care about men. They care about everyone being non-binary. Well, bot, thank you, but that's not exactly what I'm looking for. No, Michael, they don't want women to exist either. They don't want masculine. They don't want feminine. They want genderless. So no, that's not true. That's something that you just made up because you are grasping at straws to be right when you are not correct. Yeah, we probably are wasting our time with him because Michael doesn't want to listen. I don't even know why Michael hangs out here when he doesn't want to listen. Everyone is getting hit, especially because they want us all to be without gender. They are going after men and women. See, like, men like Michael are fucking weak. Okay? Men like Michael are Michael, this is actually provably not true. There are a lot of men in education, so that's actually provably not true. You're just making shit up again. Men like Michael are weak. Because men like Michael, because they are weak men, need to believe that men are the poor, abused victims of the world. That's part of their identity. They're weak. They can't get women. They can't get laid. And so they need to convince themselves, because they are so weak, that it's not just about them. It's that all men are weak. And the reason all men are weak is because men are victimized by the world of women. All those women that they are desperate to sleep with, that they just can't get to fuck them. And so because Michael can't get laid, he projects all of his bullshit onto everyone else, ignoring every bit of primary source evidence that exists, not actually listening to what these people ever say. And he says, we live in a matriarchy. The women are ruining everything. Well, the reason that Michael says the women are ruining everything is because Michael can't get laid. And Michael's lack of ability to get laid obfuscates his ability to actually process primary source information and understand what's going on in the world. So let this be a lesson to you guys. Let this be a lesson. Let this be a lesson. Michael just got banned, by the way, for insulting me. Let this be a lesson to you. If you don't want to come across as ridiculous, don't sexually repress yourselves, man. Michael can call me obese in the chat all he wants, and he's wrong about that, by the way. All the groypers seem to think I'm like 300 pounds when I'm really, really not, and anyone that's seen me in person actually knows that. But isn't it just funny that although the groypers like to call me fat all the time, every time I say something that they don't want to hear, but I get laid more than any of the groypers do. I probably get laid more than all the groypers combined. So Michael is having a self-struggle session because Michael can't get fucking laid. And now we won't be hearing from Michael anymore because he insulted me, so he got his ass banned. Goodbye, Michael. Have a nice life.
Become this queer liberation that we're aspiring to. And especially whether you are a queer identifying teacher or not, making sure that you have resources, some of which we have for you for the end of this talk, but having guidebooks for your own curriculum, or having handouts, or phone lines, or your other local nonprofit arts organization, hello National Queer Theater, who is doing this work in the community. Any questions about that, folks? Feel free to chat it up. No? All right. All right, teaching better allies. Like I said, queer liberation is for everyone. So when we talk about teaching better allies, it's about those non-queer students who may or may not have biases, are entering the classroom with different attitudes, and also the teachers in this greater school community. Next slide, please. Frameworks for allyship. Again, the openly discussing LGBTQ plus topics, situations, issues, openly and honestly, is not just for the queer kids in your class. It's widening the lens of how they're entering the world, seeing the world. It's already so vast within just the school. And preparing your students, whatever their identities are, whatever context they're entering their classroom with, is so important for the way that they continue to walk through the world into their adulthoods, and how ready they are or not, or open they are to folks who don't come from the same context they do. No neutrality. Stand up for LGBTQ rights and have zero tolerance for bullying.
Become an activist in
Being
your
able
school.
to disrupt moments of harm, moments of misunderstanding and ignorance is hard. It's really hard as adults, and especially when you're just trying to get through a lesson plan. But it's, again, so important for the learning of the entire classroom and the creating of the culture. Being able to disrupt the way that the oppression of the clock, but also heteronormativity, it creates unsafe environments, or has the potential to create unsafe environments in your classroom. It's better to nip that in the bud in order to have more complex conversations with students, young people. And again, this also applies to colleagues that you might have at your schools, in your communities. And using gender neutral language. We talked quite a bit about pronouns and about people showing up in a variety of different identities, and how fluid that could also be. So modeling the use of gender neutral language in one-on-one conversations, in lectures, talks, is another way to widen the scope of that lens, slowly but surely. Next slide, please. And embrace complexity. Again, it's just continuing to widen the scope of the lens in which you are viewing and offering a point of view to your students. Excuse me. Being able to teach intersectionality. And if you, I wish I had a good definition, official definition for what intersectionality is off the top of the dome.
Intersectionality is the complex matrix of your oppression identities.
Intersectionality is
that's what intersectionality is.
Complexity. We often think of and are provided for us in our society little boxes to check off in terms of our identities. Whereas, as individual human beings, we are so much more complex than that. And while our identities do not define us, it's the culmination of those multiple identities, those multiple truths that we hold as people that are able to allow us definition for ourselves. Meet people where they're at, not shaming people. In this work and in everything, especially when you're interacting with young people. Everyone's on their own individual journeys, and that open-hearted conversation, that honest curiosity, and being able to inquire kindly and sometimes playfully when you can, is so important.
Hey, Jen, good to see you.
Excuse me.
I'm thinking about maybe doing a Nitwits tonight, because I feel like I've got a really sassy attitude right now. I feel like the sunglasses are doing me well. I feel like I've adopted this whole new I give no fucks personality with the sunglasses. I was gonna work on the Unwoke wiki tonight. Maybe I still will for a little while, but I'm kind of feeling maybe with this new attitude that I've developed by wearing sunglasses on my stream, maybe I want to do a Nitwits tonight. Is there anything I should watch? Let me know if there's something I should watch. Not the Whatever podcast. I'm not fucking watching the Whatever podcast. When I see intersectionality, all I hear is, thank you, Nick. I do appreciate it. Well, yeah, but which one? Which one? I need something specific. No, I just think that this is going to be my new persona moving forward. I'm going to paint my wall behind me red, blood red, I'm in a fucking Vincent Price No! Fuck you, Trendlin! Don't bribe me with money! No! I watched that episode already, Tayton. Tim says they're winning on all of them. Which Daily Wire? Okay, if you guys want me to do a Nitwitch, you have to give me something specific. Give me a specific, like Trendlin. Like I understand. Trendlin keeps trying to bribe me. Trendlin, Jesus fucking Christ. We'll see. We'll see. I don't want to watch Mike. I like Michael Rechtenwald. I don't want to shit on Michael Rechtenwald. Like I like Rechtenwald. Nitwits is from. Maybe I should watch Chrissy Mayer. I haven't watched Chrissy Mayer in a while. Maybe I should watch Carrie Smith or Deb Fillman. Like I need to watch something. Like if I'm gonna have my attitude with my sunglasses, I need to watch something I can be like extra bitchy about. Is Tim still talking about World War III? Is that like still a thing? Like hasn't Tim been talking about World War III for like 5 years? I don't know. Like I don't have any sort of disdain for Mr. Reagan. I think he's way too conservative for me, but at least he got the Project Veritas stuff right, so I appreciate that. Anyway, if you guys think of anything that I should watch for Nitwits, let me know. Maybe I'll watch something. I don't know. We'll see.
For collective growth, for individual growth. And again, it's how does a single person have the opportunity to come away changed from an interaction? If they are kindly corrected on the use of some language, like for instance, saying that's so gay, and being able to stop for a second and be like, well, what does that mean?
Gay.
What does gay mean to you?
So
and
gay.
Why do you think that?
Socialism, gay.
Being able
Republicans,
to be more critical about the way that we walk through the world, the language that we use especially. And don't assume heterosexuality or cisgender identities. Breaking that heteronormativity, again, disrupting it. Being able to allow for a more expansive worldview, being able to offer that to your students is something that they may or may not be offered elsewhere.
Nikki Haley, gay.
Every instance where that can happen,
fake and gay,
is important, whether it's apparent in the moment or not. Any questions, folks?
Fake and gay. I don't want to watch Candace Owens.
Great. Next slide, please. And I'll pass it over to Adam.
Wonderful.
Biden.
Nikki, if it's okay with you, let's move on to the Q&A after this section, just for time. So I want to talk about uplifting LGBTQ educators. While I'm doing that, any questions you have for us, or any scenarios that you want to talk through that maybe have come up for you in the past around working with queer or trans students, this is a good time to put those in the chat because we're coming up on the Q&A. So give us some juicy things to talk about, or else we'll just like riff and talk about how cool the other person is. Being role models, being out and proud as queer teachers is so critical because for so many queer youth, they don't know any queer adults. You know, as young queer people, we grow up almost always with heterosexual parents, right? Sometimes we're the only queer people in our families and the only queer people we know until we go to college. So if you're able to be that one out role model in that kid's life, that can be life-saving. There's been studies that, especially for trans youth, knowing one, not even trans adult, but knowing one supportive adult in their life, whether they're queer or not, actually reduces suicidality. So if you're able to be that supportive adult in a young person's life, you can actually save their life. It's that critical.
Yep.
So in the classroom, and this is difficult if you're a teaching artist because often we're in classrooms for just an hour or two at a time, doing a pre or post show workshop. But, you know, I would really encourage you, when it's safe, when you're comfortable, to be out. And that's not always comfortable, but there's different ways that can look. It can be verbalizing.
Why do you need to talk about who you're fucking?
Excuse me.
Why?
It can be wearing a rainbow pin or a pronoun pin.
Why?
Or your funky purple hair, or you know, maybe you're a male teacher wearing a skirt. You know, there's a lot of ways that
a male teacher wearing a skirt. Yeah, okay.
Can be explicit or implicit, and those are all valid. With youth as well. If you are an arts administrator or you run an arts education program, hire and train queer teaching artists. Employment is a huge barrier, especially in the trans community. So if you're able to hire and train queer teaching artists and trans teaching artists.
Do I ever wear skirts or dresses? Well, I used to. I actually have a whole fucking, this is a true story. I went through an extremely girly phase around 2007, 2008, 2009. And I have an entire closet full of really goddamn fancy designer dresses. Do you guys want to see a picture? I know we're not even watching the presentation anymore. I'm just like fucking around now on the internet. Do you guys want to see a picture of me in a dress? Hang on. I was even wearing heels. Hang on. You guys are gonna die at this picture. Hang on. Hang on. You guys are gonna seriously die at this picture. I just need to find it. It's on my Facebook. I know it's on my Facebook, which I never even use anymore. See, this is what happens when I wear the sunglasses on the stream. The whole stream goes off the rails. We don't even watch the presentation. I start showing you Trendolin. God fucking damn it. Trendolin, why are you doing this to me? I'm starting to feel guilty. Oh no, Trendolin has made me so much money to watch someone of her podcast. Why, Trendolin? Why? Why is that the episode you want me to watch? Why? Okay, we'll see. We'll see, Trendolin. We'll see. All right, let me see. Hang on. Let me find my pictures. Hang on. Thank you, Trendolin, for the $20. Where is my picture from Vegas? Where is my picture from Vegas? Oh, God. Hang on, hang on, hang on. Hang on. Oh, here it is. Found it. 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 Oh, for everyone who thinks I'm like 300 pounds, I actually don't weigh like significantly more right now than I did in this picture. I just dress differently. Check this out. Check this out. I have this whole fucking closet full. I was still being a little bit masculine with like the leggings and stuff. But I had this whole fucking closet full of like designer fucking dresses that I never wear. But yeah, I was a girl once. I was. It's true. I told you. Don't get it twisted. Don't get it twisted. I can be girly too when I want to be. Yep, I was wearing those are big fucking heels too. Those are like 4-inch fucking heels. Those are platforms. Yep. Yep. It's true. It's true. True. I weigh a little bit more than I did in that picture, but like not significantly more. All right, let's see. We have we have fucking half an hour left of this presentation. Well, we're gonna get through it. It'll be fine. Was that before Victor? Yes, but not long before Victor. It was like it was maybe a year. Hang on, let me look at the date on that. I think that was like a year before Victor. Oh no, I met Victor November, December, January, February. I met Victor 6 months after that picture was taken. That picture was taken in October of 2010. I met Victor in May of 2011. So, true story.
Artists that benefits not only those teaching artists, but also your students, who 10% of whom are queer and trans themselves. You're helping represent the communities that you're serving. And you're creating a more diverse and robust teaching artist staff. If you are head of a program or an arts admin, protect your queer teachers and speak out against legislation like Don't Say Gay. Stand up for your queer and trans teaching artists, whether in the classroom or outside the classroom, and let them know that you are there for them and that you're an ally. And then for queer and trans teachers, teaching artists, find and build allyship amongst the staff at the school or arts organizations that you work at. Find those other queer and trans staff members, find those allies, find those other teachers who have your back, so that if something happens or you want to talk about a student issue that's coming up or a student that maybe is struggling with their identity, then you have other people to check in with. And, kudos to you, as we saw before, queer teachers being out in the world is a pretty new phenomenon. Even as recently as 1978, voters are trying to ban queer people from being public school
I need
teachers.
another beer. Hang on.
So to be out and proud as a teacher or as a teaching artist or as an educator of any kind is a really radical act, and kudos to you. Okay, next slide, please. Or actually, we're
I'm
gonna
gonna
skip
drink
the scenarios for now. So let's
cherry
go to the
lemon
Q&A.
stone.
So our main question for you is, what resources or training do you need to be a better teaching artist or a school teacher or arts administrator or principal for queer and trans youth? But we'll take any and all of your questions. So we can actually take away the screen share.
Kinsey, would you mind if we chat up that question?
Look at that
Just put it in the chat
beautiful
for people
color.
to look at. I don't have it in front of me.
Sure, the question from the
Sure.
slides?
Mm-hmm.
Great, I will do that, absolutely. And there are a couple
Ooh.
of questions. The most two recent chats are a couple of questions for you both as well.
Good, Q&A. We love Q&A.
And folks, feel free to continue to use the chat. Thank you so much for engaging with us. And also at this point in our Q&A, feel free to also raise your hand if you want to speak up.
Oh, that's good.
And
That's good.
our lovely tech Zoom
Drecker,
folks will help you
cherry
out in
lemon
terms of
scone.
speaking up and being a part of the conversation.
Nikki,
Yes, Adam.
could you give us some examples of some gender neutral greetings? How would you greet a class in a gender neutral kind of way?
folks. Hi, kiddos.
Besides, what's up, fam?
Fam.
Hey, folks. How are you all doing today? How are y'all doing today? You can get really playful with gender neutral greetings. Ahoy, mateys!
Ahoy, mateys!
Hi, everyone.
Yeah.
Hi, all. Hey,
Mhm.
class.
Mhm.
If they're, little, hi, seahorses.
Yeah.
Hey, kittens.
Yeah. There are ways to be playful and inviting about gender neutral greetings. But at the end of the day, it's, how are you ensuring that whatever language you're using is building camaraderie and not creating binaries?
Yeah, we try to avoid hey, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, for elementary school, like often, lining up by gender is common. So we try to avoid that and be as gender neutral as possible. I can take the second one.
Yeah, Adam, is there a more inclusive term than male identifying or female identifying?
I'm so glad you asked, Nikki. And yes, so people have different answers. Like we're not the experts on this. This is just our informed opinions. But in terms of the word identifying, it's kind of funny because it's like, I don't identify as gay. I am gay. I am queer. I don't identify as male. I am male. So I would just say what you mean. If a student is transmasculine, and you say, can I have all the boys over here? Then as long as you're being explicit, transmasculine students should be involved in the category of boys.
See, he's a useful idiot.
So
useful idiot.
We're not excluding trans or gender nonconforming students.
We know he is a useful idiot because he is still upholding the gender binary. This has got to be like the litmus test. Honestly, this is really what the litmus test is between true believer and useful idiot. If someone upholds the gender binary and they're saying you're masculine, therefore you should be with the boys. I mean, we can take issue with like the content of what he's saying, fine. But the litmus test for like if someone is a useful idiot versus a true believer is, do they uphold the gender binary in that do they believe it's okay to have categories for men and women, masculine and feminine? And if they believe that, honestly, we can disagree on a lot of shit, but as long as they're upholding the gender binary, I don't really care. It's the people who want to abolish the gender binary that are actually the problem.
But we want to be expansive in how we speak, and this is hard. I mean, I'm like in my head, I'm trying to be like, how do I answer this? It's not easy, and language is evolving. It's not perfect, but yeah, I would say like use male and female instead of male identifying and female identifying, or like students aren't queer identifying; they're just queer. Like a chair is not like a chair identifying. Like what I mean? Like the thing is what it is.
Mm-hmm. And just to go off that, like using an example of like separating folks into groups, like Adam was saying before about, gender binary lineups in the schoolyard, being able to do that by height or clothing color if you don't have like a school uniform or anything like that. Ways that a young person chooses to identify themselves as opposed to you imposing an identity onto them. Does that make sense, Adam?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I wanted
to. Okay, Diana.
Yeah. Did I freeze?
I think I froze. Diana has a scenario. If I can throw that at you, Nikki.
Sure.
So Diana said, I have some fourth grade students who are starting to talk about crushes and dating. Ooh, fun. I wonder if some kids who have a different sexual orientation than their friends feel excluded. I wonder if there's anything to do for them, especially during times like recess, lunch, and free time, when they're really supposed to play on their own without teacher intervention. So students are talking about dating. Might that make LGBTQ students uncomfortable, and how can a teacher address that?
Wow, fourth grade. What a wild age to be in. But I would say that goes back to some of the things we were talking about subtly threading queer narratives and normalizing queer narratives in your curriculum.
What
you can do, what you can offer them in your classroom.
Hang on. Subtly threading queer narratives throughout your curriculum, almost like they're trying to sneak them in to the curriculum without anyone noticing that they're threading queer narratives throughout their curriculum. Is that what I just heard? Is that what I just heard? Let's just see. Go back.
Mm-hmm. Wow, 4th grade. What a wild age to be in. But I would say that goes back to some of the things we were talking about threading, subtly threading queer narratives and normalizing queer narratives in your curriculum. What you can do, what you can offer them in your classroom while you're teaching, supervising them, and facilitating maybe little threads of those conversations that happen in your classroom is, gently and curiously like expand what they think of as a romantic couple. Ooh, 2 people are kissing. That's gross, no matter their identities, depending on the age. 10-year-olds, who knows?
Teach kids that kissing is gross.
Cooties are gender neutral. But yeah, I would say, whatever they take onto the playground, into recess, in conversations between themselves as peers, echoes what happens in your classroom. So being able to focus.
Liquid Marble has a question. Does teaching traditional school classes, i.e. math and geography, uphold capitalism, which is why they want to shoehorn socialism into them? Well, I mean, if you think about it, like, yes, in some, well, I mean, they view anything that is not explicitly socialist to be upholding capitalism, right? So if you're teaching math and geography without a socialist bent to it, then yes, I would say that those classes uphold capitalism because they're not explicitly anti-capitalism. But I think the real reason they want to shoehorn socialist into education is because if you can get to kids, you own the future. I mean, that's really it. The education system, the public education system, compels students to go to school. And the vast majority of people go to public school, right? Like, they don't go to private school, they don't go to charter schools. The vast majority of people, they aren't homeschooled. The vast majority of people go to public schools. They are compelled by the government to go to public schools. And so if you want to capture the youth, which gives you the future, then you take control of the public schools and you shoehorn all of your curriculum into all of the subject matter in the schools so it becomes inescapable. I think that's really what it is. Yeah, Mao did this too. Mao did this in China. This is how you capture the next generation.
On the ways, the places where you do have control and offer some critical thinking about what they're conditioned to think about.
This is really good.
Yeah, I mean, can you show them age-appropriate examples of LGBTQ people dating and having crushes, like, I don't know, Love, Simon or something. If you're talking about acting techniques, you can show and you like to show YouTube clips of different movies. Like, can you include some LGBT movies so that they're at least getting some positive representation? Nikki, is there a resource that specifically targets ways to include queer intersectionality based on subject matters?
Oh man, honestly, sometimes I think there are too many resources. We'll be sharing some resources at the end of this from places like GLSEN, like GSA Network, which has their own website full of resources for folks. I think it's part of the creativity and the homework that teachers have to do for themselves too. The way the access we have to queer narratives these days is only a couple clicks away, and it's there. In harkening back to what Adam just said about playing a video clip in your class, there are ways to find. There are moments where you can uplift the way that other people are living. in your classroom, especially if you want to be supportive, but you're not necessarily a queer identifying teacher. That's my response. Adam, do you have any response to that?
Yeah, I would say because of like historic white supremacy and racism, queerness is often equated with whiteness. And when we bring in
capitalism, say capitalism,
queer topics and queer representation into the classroom, I think people can often default to white queer representation. So when we think about including queer people from history into our curriculum, people often go to Harvey Milk, but can you bring in a lesson about Sylvia Rivera? Can you talk about Audre Lorde? Can you talk about queer people of color, queer people with disabilities, trans people of color in your curriculum and in your work, and not only default to white queer representation?
Want to shout out, I'm forgetting who said this in the chat, but the person who replied to your question of what does queer liberation look like or mean to you? And someone said Marsha P. Johnson.
What does that mean?
Agreed.
What does that mean?
And being able to, yeah, I think, if I'm being honest, I missed the intersectionality a little bit. So I'm just like, queer representation in your classrooms, everywhere, all the things. But Adam, can I throw a question at you?
Please do.
What resources training do you need to be a better teaching artist for queer and trans youth?
Oh, that was our question, Nikki.
Oh, right. Thank you, Kinsey. You're doing your job too well.
I mean, I have answers, but that's what I want to know from the teaching artists. Can you explain the term pansexual?
Yes, please do.
Is that a question? Oh,
that is a question.
Oh, okay. So, as we've said before, language moves and evolves really quickly these days. So for me, while I currently identify as queer plus in the umbrella term, as a person whose sexuality, my level of attraction is not necessarily dictated by gender. Pansexual,
someone that fucks
in
trans
its
people.
Most basic definition is someone who is attracted to masculine, feminine, and non-binary and gender non-conforming people.
Someone who fucks trans people and non-binary people, regardless of their genitals.
Ali asked, would love to hear tips for dealing with antiquated gendered language with co-teachers and school admin. I hear a lot of boys and girls, frowny face.
Ew, boys and girls.
Very true.
Ew.
And very good point. I think it kind of goes back to the not shaming thing and meeting people where they are. I don't think you're going to get very far in practical terms.
Well, okay, hang on.
Going to those co-teachers.
Bot is asking, why is pansexual not bisexual? Because it includes trans and non-binary people, whereas bisexual just includes cisgendered people, and therefore pansexual, you get more victim points because you fuck everyone, whereas bisexual people only fuck men and women, and bisexual people still believe in the gender binary, whereas pansexual people do not believe in the gender binary, and they believe there is an infinite number of genders, and they will fuck all of them. Does that make sense? Bisexual, by definition, means the binary. Pansexual people do not believe in the gender binary, and they don't care what genitals you have. They will still fuck you.
Teachers or those admin and saying like, that's bad. We should use gender neutral language. Because people might not be receptive to that. I would say what you do have the power to do is to be a positive role model and to model gender neutral language with your students and hopefully inspire that school admin and your co-teachers to follow your example and for your students to follow that example. If you feel like you have a good rapport with these people, and they, will be open to some constructive feedback, I would say look at GLSEN, look at GLAD, look at GSA Network, and find some resources that talk about gender neutral language, and say like, hey, I found this really cool thing on the internet. One of my fellow teaching artists shared it with me. What do you think about this? Like, I think this would be really cool to adopt in our classroom. Or if you're a classroom teacher and you can put up posters in your classroom, like maybe there's a cool graphic or poster about gender or gender neutral language that you can have visibly up in your space. But yeah, I think it goes back to meeting people where they are. We're all on different journeys with language, especially around gender. I think this is really something that a lot of people struggle with, even queer people. I work with plenty of like gay and lesbian people who use pretty transphobic language, and we have to talk about that
because they're
break
not
that down.
queer.
A lot of people are not comfortable talking about anything with gender that goes outside of the binary. It's very ingrained in us as from birth, from like gender reveal parties to your sex on your birth certificate to Barbies and trucks.
Fuck
like
you.
It's very, very ingrained how we talk about
Leave
gender.
Barbie
so
alone.
I think what you have the power to do is how you talk about it, and gently being that role model.
It's actually a great segue because I got messaged a question, Adam. Question on pedophilia. Why are some people worried that the acceptance of trans and—
Hang on, Jen says, did you know there was a fat con? I did know there was a fat con. I did a brief call where if anyone in Seattle wants to go to the fat con and tell me what's happening, I would appreciate that. I briefly I want to go inside. I want to infiltrate the fat con at some point. I do. Because that just looks too cringe for words. But I did know that, Jen. Thank you for being a member of the channel for 6 months. I really do appreciate it.
gay exposure to our children will lead to the acceptance of pedophilia at large? What is their reasoning?
Yeah, who knows? This is an old homophobic trope that goes back a really long way. That's been used to prevent gay men specifically, and I would also say like trans folks from being around children, from being able to adopt or be legal parents or guardians, from being able to marry. This definitely came up from the far right during the marriage equality debates and referendums. Yeah, this trope around gay people being pedophiles or inclined to pedophilia, as we heard David Mamet talk about, like, what the frick? That's so messed up. It's a really old trope, and something we need to combat. And I would say especially stand up for gay male teachers and trans teachers, and know that we're safe with your kids. And we're, of course, like for any teachers, you want to do background checks and you want to, vet your teachers, but there's no data that shows that gay teachers or trans teachers are disproportionately inclined to sexual assault or pedophilia. That is a very homophobic old trope. Good question, though. Nikki, Alex says, Learning for Justice has a pretty solid lesson learning plan resources that allows you to search by topic and subject area.
Wow.
So you can do things like check off gender and sexuality as the topic, and then history or math as the subject area, and see what comes up. That's so cool.
Alex, amazing. Thank you for this resource. Just turning this chat into our own queer liberation teaching study guide.
Oh, good.
Appreciate you all.
Yeah, Alberto also shouted out GLSEN and the ad council's ads about combating That's So Gay. That's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
So gay.
Mm-hmm.
So gay.
Alex quotes the wine label wine bottle scene from Schitt's Creek as a definition, an exploration of what pansexuality is and looks like. Thank you.
Great show. Any other questions from the chat, or if people want to raise their hand or unmute themselves? Nikki, can I ask you a question?
Sure, Adam.
What if we do our jobs well? What do you hope for the future? What does the future look like in 25 years for queer and trans students?
No gender. All right, Bot, I'll look at that.
Excuse me. For me, that students don't feel the weight of the historical exclusion that comes with queer identities, that they're able to honor that history and like grow outside of, the foundations, the shoulders of giants that we as queer people and queer educators especially are standing on. That, holding that truth while being able to continue to push forward and challenge the world and the way that we use language, the way that we relate to one another. I know it's very, very general, but that's the queer positive utopia that I'm imagining in my head.
Queer positive utopia.
Adam, can I turn that question back to you?
Sure.
It's
And
almost
then
like this
I
is
see Alberto's hand.
completely contrived.
I think I'm of two minds. Like, part of me is like, oh, I want queerness to not be a big deal for students, and for it to just be like being left-handed. That not being a big deal, and it just being a normal part of who you are. But then another part of me is like, well, I think being queer does make you different and does make you special and is a defined community. So,
oh my God,
I
Bot,
hope
seriously?
that for queer students, like, we're taught, again, our history and our culture and our value, and that it's not treated as nothing, but it's treated as something valuable and positive, and that we talk about queer history and we talk about queer people's contribution to politics and science and art and culture.
All right.
Just as we talk about other minoritized populations.
I'm making an executive decision because,
but with legislation like Don't Say Gay, it's like we don't even.
They haven't really said much that's like interesting or outlandish that we haven't heard already, and the presentation's almost over. So I'm making the executive decision that we stop here because Bod has just sent me something that I want everyone to see. So that FatCon that we talked about earlier, apparently one of their sponsors is called Chub Rub Clothing. You guys got to see this. This is like the world that we live. Like, listen, man, conservatives like to call me fat. Like, I wear normal size clothes. I don't wear fucking plus size clothes. No offense to anyone that does. I don't really care. But like, when I get called fat all day, every day, and then I see stuff like this, bro. Like, come on. This is your future, conservatives. This right here is your future. Because you call everyone fat. You guys don't know what fat really is. You guys don't. I'm sorry. You don't know what fat... They make fat chaps. Are you serious? You guys don't know what fat really is. Oh my God. Yo. Fat Joy. What the fuck? What the fuck? Why is there a penis? Oh my God. Oh my, they do. Oh. Oh my god. Protect queer magic because fat is queer. Fat goes under the auspices of queer. Let's just dig into this chap business. Oh. What the fuck? Wearing a US sized see groipers, this is what fat is. This is what fat, no offense to anyone. I really don't mean offense. If you're a bigger person, I'm not trying to be offensive, but oh my god. Oh my! I didn't want to say. Oh my god! See, these are the line tattoos. These are the black line tattoos that I keep telling you about. Wow. Wow. Oh my god. 5'2", a size 20 or 22. Oh my god. I mean, this is educational for the tattoos. Hoodies? That's a hoodie? That's a fucking hoodie? That's not a hoodie. That is a hood with sleeves. That is not a hoodie. What are you talking about? Oh my god. I can't. I cannot. Like, the bras don't even hold up their boobs. Like, that's not, I mean, I don't even wear a bra, but like, if I did wear a bra, I would expect far more support than that. I don't understand this. Is this supposed to be sexy? Like, what is this? Diet culture. I mean, I don't have any problem with like people like loving their bodies no matter like what size they are. I think that that's actually like a good thing. But not everyone needs to see everything you have. Oh my, they have a fat Barbie. Why is there a fat Barbie? What the fuck? Bot, fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you, bot. This is a fetish website is what this is. This is not clothes. This is a fetish website. Does this person, what the fuck? Is that a beard? What is that? What is this? What is this under her chin? Like, is that a beard? Like, what the fuck? Why would you wear this on a t-shirt? What's PCOS? What does that mean? I hate all of you for doing this to me. I hate you guys. I really do. I hate you all, especially bot. Wow. Do they have like social media or anything? Instagram. Oh, no Instagram. Never mind. Wait, no, they do have Instagram. They just didn't have it set. They don't have the link on their own website set up correctly. Hang on. $18,000 followers. Oh, see, this is where you remember I told you guys that all fat activists are amateur porn stars? Do you guys remember? I told you all fat activists are amateur porn stars? Come on. What the fuck? What the fuck? Oh my God. Again, I don't judge people, man, but like, I'm getting really sick and tired of being called fat every day on the internet when like, you calling me fat, like, delegitimizes the term fat. I'm sorry. I don't even wear fucking plus size clothes. Oh my God. What the why is she wearing a mask? Why is she wearing a GIMP mask? She's feeding that, like, this is like fat porn. This is fat porn. Oh. Why? Why are you doing this to me? Why? My friend joined the stream today and we're showing this to the poor. I'm sorry to Trendolin's friend. This has not been the best stream for Trendolin's friend to join. Trendolin's friend should come to Socialism Saturday tomorrow. Socialism Saturday is going to be much more professional. This is not the best. This is happy hour. Happy hour is not the professional stream, okay? Why is she wearing a GIMP mask? Yeah, fuck you, bot. Fuck you. Fuck you. Eat a dick, bot. This is a GIMP mask, bot. This is a GIMP mask right here. Why are we looking at this? This is so gay. So gay, bot. So gay. Oh my God! I should be getting paid more for this. Can people please send me in super chat? Oh my God! Oh my, this is like this stuff out of a horror movie. What? I'm gonna go watch a horror movie after this just to have something less frightening than what I'm not old enough for this. I can't take this. I can't. Merry Kinkmas. It does, Reagan. It says Merry Kinkmas. This is fake and gay, is what this is. Fake and gay. Oh my God. They're all amateur porn stars. See, I don't feel like I could go undercover at FatCon. I'm not anywhere close to the size of these women. I can't even go undercover at FatCon. No, bot. This is your fucking fault, bot. I never would have seen this had you not sent it to me. This is why why is she holding a dildo? Why? What? Why? Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. This is so awful. Is this a trans person? Why does this person have hair? Like, this is like is this a trans person? Yes, it is. There's a dick. Yes. I fucking knew it. I can't even. How does this trans person have bigger boobs than I do? No, I don't. Trendolyn, what are you trying to do to me? I have a better ass than they do, though, by a pretty significant degree. I have at least I may not have bigger boobs that, they've had estrogen. I may not have bigger boobs than the trans person, but I have a better ass. That's for sure. Oh my, what the fuck is this? What? Oh my. Oh my God. I wasn't prepared for this. I'm losing more and more viewers by the second, and I don't even care. What is this? Oh my God. Okay, that wasn't that relatively speaking, that wasn't that bad. Okay. Oh. What is going on? Oh my God. You've broken me. You've all broken me. It wasn't just the sunglasses that broke me. You all fucking broke me. This is too much. I don't want to exist on this planet anymore. Oh. Why does she have a beard? What? No, I would never subject my husband to this. I would never subject my poor, sweet husband to this. My husband is too good of a man to have to live with this in his brain. I can't do it. I can't. My husband lets me get away with, like, bloody murder. He takes care of me. What is this? I have to protect my husband from this. He's not prepared. No, we don't need Victor to see this. Victor's fine. Victor probably just heard me say that. He's like, what the fuck is going on? He's like, what is happening? She's bigger than a disco ball. Like, her stomach is bigger than a fucking disco ball. How does this person have sex? I don't understand it. I don't. See, the men are facilitating this. The weak men. No, is that really a man though? Yep, there's a dick. Yep, definitely a dick. Small dick. Mm-hmm. Why don't any of these bras actually hold up the boobs? I don't understand this at all. What the fuck? What the fuck is with the armpit hair? What the fuck? Star-crossed harnesses? Oh no. Oh no. We're getting a demonstration. Oh no. It's a harness for the boobs? Why? Oh, this is traumatizing. This is why we don't ever do fat studies stuff on the channel anymore. I always end up going down the rabbit hole into something crazy. Okay, that's it. That's it. That's it. I'm done. I'm done. No more. No more. What the fuck was that? I don't have anything else. I'm traumatized. I need to like go smoke a joint and relax after that deeply fucking traumatic experience. Thank you, bot. I will be back tomorrow for happy hour at 6 p.m. We will be doing Bitchcraft at 3 p.m. in my in the Zoom link that I will send out. F you, bot. I'm putting you on notice. Don't ever fucking do that to me again. All right, guys, that's all I have for right now. Maybe I'll do nitwits later, maybe not. I don't know yet. I have to see, like, I was not prepared for that. I have to have a moment of cleansing and, like, relaxation and meditation, and I probably need to burn some incense and smudge myself and my entire fucking office after seeing that bot. I need to go to the gym and work. Like, I just, like, that was like, God damn it. I'll see you guys when I see you guys next. Take care. Have a good night. We'll see you soon. Bye.